How are you?
Tony Bennett. He only passed away last year. It was a big age.
What age was he? Did you Google him?
He was born in 1926, so he died at the age of 97. But I think he was performing relatively late into his life too.
Yeah, he was a good entertainer. I don't know too much about him.
No, well, it's just
fired
a
a few
singer.
songs and
Exactly,
stuff.
That's it.
You know the crack.
I do know the crack, Lee. I know the crack
I
for
see
sure.
they're giving away money. David was giving away $1,000
He
yesterday.
gave away 1,000. I think John's giving away $1,000 today.
I think Ivan, and then I think it's me Friday.
Friday night.
You're helping me with that.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Not a great day for me to be in here helping.
Why not?
A lot of prep, but it will be fine.
It'll be okay.
What time do you think they're doing that?
Probably about 1:45.
So what time are we going to do the Secret Sound?
Oh, very good idea, Daddy. Never thought on that one.
Exactly.
Could
We
you
should do a double guess week next week because it's nearly Christmas.
Right.
Everyone gets 2 guesses.
Yeah. God, you're good. You're the man that keeps on giving.
Week.
Double guess week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah.
You put a lot of school teachers on the spot with your
With what?
homework passes and stuff, so I just thought I'd put you in the spot.
Oh yeah. Give me a homework pass.
So it's a double guess week?
Don't say I can't. I don't have the authority to say
It's
that.
your show and it's your initiative.
No, it's not my money.
I was just listening to the guesses about either being a pool ball or a octopus eating a ball, so those 2 guesses.
All right, okay.
Right then, anyway,
Good show, good luck.
you can unpack that later. Thanks, Lee. It is the 9 till noon show just around the corner, but at 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update now from Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Full negotiations get underway between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael today on the formation of the next government. It comes as Cabinet will meet for the first time since the general election. Stephanie Rohan reports.
The deputy leaders of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael met last night to discuss the structure for today's talks on forming the next government. Sources for both sides said it was a positive engagement and full talks would take place today. They'll also meet with the Social Democrats, who are down a TD following the suspension of Owen Hayes. The newly elected Dublin-based South deputy confirmed he's an independent for now after misleading the media regarding shares he held in a company which has links to the Israeli military. Meanwhile, senior ministers of the current government will meet this morning for the first cabinet meeting since the general election.
Relatives of women who've been murdered in Northern Ireland have spoken about their loved ones during a candlelit vigil in Derry. It was one of a number of events held last night calling for an end to violence against women and girls. Chelsea Keeley was in Derry and spoke to the mother of murdered show jumper Katie Simpson.
Similar vigils were held in other counties, marking the end of a 16-day campaign calling for an end to gender-based violence. I spoke with Katie's mum Nolene at the Guildhall.
It is difficult to know that she's not here with us, but you have to go on. You know, you'd like to think that maybe you're saving or helping people. And Katie would love to know that she's helping people.
A statement from Montserrat Mozzarell's daughter was also read aloud on the steps. The 65-year-old was murdered in the city in August this year.
Although her departure was unfair and premature, her legacy lives on in me and in who I am.
A minute's silence was held.
An Inishowen councillor says council houses have become too reliant on electricity. Councillor Paul Canning says it was particularly evident when thousands were left without power during Storm Dara, resulting in no heat for those living in social homes which no longer use solid fuels. He says Donegal County Council needs to consider alternative heating solutions.
That a lot of older people in particular were sitting in the houses with blankets, keeping them warm. And these are houses that were within the council stock, and that we changed those houses from being reliant on solid fuel. Whenever we are doing that, we need electricity for all of that, and we have become over-reliant on electricity. And I requested Donegal County Council and their forward planners and their forward architects to actually start looking at alternatives.
Weather now, mist, fog and frost this morning. It will be a dry day with a mix of cloud and some sunny spells. Cold with highest temperatures of 2 to 4 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
It's time to let the people in your life know how much they mean to you by sending them a parcel packed with goodies or a handwritten card. Don't miss the opportunity to send post to those who matter most. Send magic with Christmas stamp booklets and prepaid packaging. You can buy them in-app, online and at your local post office. Send Christmas love now. On Post for your world. See onpost.com/Christmas to find out more. T's and C's apply.
And now it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. You're very welcome along to the midweek version of the 9 till Noon Show. The episode, I suppose you could call it. It's 4 minutes past 9 and it is Wednesday. It's the 11th of December 2024. Just 14 sleeps now till the big man lands, if you've been a good boy or girl. But anyway, we've got lots to get through over the next 3 hours, keeping you informed and entertained, hopefully, with all the latest news stories, features, conversation and crack. We want you involved in it throughout. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. Get your phones out, folks. It's quite enough yesterday. Don't like to see it because it means you're not texting me and I get lonely. WhatsApp 086 60 25,000 or text that number. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000, of course. Caroline is back after her break. I think, hopefully now that's her annual leave up. Done? You've all your annual leave taken now, have you? Yeah, okay, that's her in for the rest of the year. And Shannon, also, of course, assisting Caroline as always. You can email comments at highlandradio.com, and that's particularly good if you want to write in a longer format. But also, if you're listening maybe to the podcast or the repeat overnight, feel free to get involved, and we can include your comments and what have you in the live show. All right, let's look at the papers today. And the Finn Valley Voice is out. Thousands of girls went through this painful, dark history. RAFO's Mark McCullum, who we've spoken to on this show on a number of occasions. He's the Truth Recovery Northern Ireland, is a prominent advocate for justice regarding the historical injustices faced by mothers and children in mother and baby institutions in Northern Ireland. He welcomes the imminent publication of a public consultation document on policy proposals for an inquiry and also redress. An extensive article with Mark, or from Mark, in that paper today. The Irish Times, the Dáil hasn't even really sat yet, the new Dáil, and already controversy abounds. The Social Democrats have been left reeling after the first press conference celebrating their expanded party turned into a shambles and led to the suspension of a TD over his controversial shareholdings in a software firm that supplies AI technology to the Israeli Defence Forces. Before the new Dáil has even started, the party has suspended Dublin-based South TD Owen Hayes after it emerged that he sold his shares in Palantir a month after he was elected to Dublin City Council, contrary to a claim he made earlier to media when he said he divested before he entered politics. In a statement later, party deputy leader Cian O'Callaghan said Mr Hayes' claim was not true. Owen was first elected to Dublin City Council in June 2024 and the shares were sold in July 2024. Mr O'Callaghan said this is a serious matter. It is imperative that the media, who hold politicians to account on behalf of the public, can rely on the information they receive from elected representatives. So he's stated now that he's going to sit as an independent. But, I mean, I imagine there are people that have missed out on seats and there are people that voted for him because he was a Social Democrat. Is it just the way politics is, or really would the right thing for him to do, considering he's going to sit as an independent, having been elected as a Social Democrat and had never sat in the Dáil in this term as a Social Democrat rep? Would it not be fair for him to step down? Or do you think it's right that people maybe voted for him and he should take up his seat as an independent? What do you think? On to the Irish Independent now, and Gardaí investigating the suspected murder of missing schoolboy Kyran Dernan expect to make more arrests in the case as they believe a number of co-conspirators helped to cover up his disappearance. A woman in her 20s who is the chief suspect in the murder of he would be 8 now. Unfortunately, it appears he was 6 when he was murdered. But a woman in her 20s who is the chief suspect was arrested yesterday after returning to Ireland from overseas. It's understood detectives became aware that the woman, who was well known to Kyran, had arrived in Ireland by ferry. This development led officers to postpone a planned operation in relation to the murder investigation. The last confirmed sighting of the schoolboy was at his primary school in Dundalk, County Louth, in May 2022, and he has not been seen since. Alive since. He was reported missing by a family member last August, while Tusla alerted Gardaí to a significant concern it had about him. And you can probably read quite a bit between the lines of that article there. On to the ongoing story from America that people seem to be very interested in. It's in the Irish Daily Star. The suspect in the cold-blooded assassination of a multimillionaire health insurance boss may have been motivated by physical pain, anguish and treatment of corporate America. Ivy League graduate and math prodigy Luigi Mangoni, his life appears to have changed after suffering a severe back injury in a surfing accident. The subsequent surgery on a misaligned spine reportedly went awry. When arrested 6 days after Brian Thompson, 50, was shot dead in New York, the accused items were said to include a manifesto. The 292-word document detailed his grievances against corporate greed and the healthcare industry in particular, said investigators. Now, he has been remanded. He was refused bail and they are seeking to extradite him to New York to face charges there. But there's something interesting developing, and it's a strange thing that people feel they can say anything out loud now. I mean, this is a man charged with the murder of Brian Thompson. Now, Brian Thompson's the head of a health insurance company, effectively, and people seem to think then it's okay, you know, that it's not as serious as it might be. I mean, Mr. Thompson was well known around Donegal, of course, the CEO of a big company here in Letterkenny, a father, a husband. And I don't think fellas could have this conversation about women. Like, there's full-on articles as to why some women are confused. And there's one from Clara Gaspar in the Irish Daily Mail today, and I don't think this does women any favours, and I certainly don't think it does a victim's family any favours. But I'll read what she's written, not all of it, but some of it. Handsome, Ivy League educated from a well-heeled family. Oh, and did I mention the rippling six-pack? On paper, Luigi Mangione is the sort of man any sane woman might dream of. There's a rather large problem, however. The smouldering Italian-American now stands charged with killing the CEO of United Healthcare, 50-year-old Brian Thompson, in New York last Wednesday. I'll admit, she says, I was captivated as soon as the first CCTV images of Mangione were released to the public just hours after the murder. Various cameras captured him apparently pulling off his meticulously planned operation, approaching Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel, executing the hit and vanishing on an electric bike. It was like a scene from a Christopher Nolan thriller, cinematic, chilling and darkly compelling. But then came details that only heightened the intrigue. The clearest photos of Mangione emerged from the hostel where he was believed to be staying, reportedly lowering his mask to flirt with a lucky woman at reception. As one ex, formerly Twitter user, cynically quipped, like a true Italian, Luigi, his fatal error as an assassin was giving himself away by stopping to flirt with the cashier before going to work. I mean, like, I just really find that kind of language and I just find it really kind of weird, to be honest. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe I'm off the mark, but as I say, the easiest way you could describe it is to flip it. You know, to flip it and imagine it were a fella writing an article about a female teacher who seduced a student or something. You know what I mean, or whatever it might be. I know you can pick up your own scenarios. It would be absolutely frowned upon. But anyway, there you are. Maybe there's nothing to it at all. But that was in the Daily Mail there. In the Sun today, a dangerous and devious paedophile from the north has been jailed for 27 years. And I'm only reading this really to serve as a warning, just to double check our children's activity. Not that it's in any way their fault, but just to make sure that they're not exposed to this type of evil. David John Andrews, 55, posed as a young teenage boy on Snapchat and Instagram to trap his child victims. He was told at Downpatrick Crown Court that he would serve a minimum of 13 and a half years, after which parole commissioners would determine when he can be released. Police have said it is clear his offending, which involved coercing victims into sending him compromising photographs, spread across the UK. Andrews, whose address was listed as Maherby Prison, had pleaded guilty to 130 charges of sexual abuse, which involved 47 victims, 46 of whom are children. His youngest victim was 8 years old, and the crimes are such that even the judge refused to read them out because they were so horrific and offensive there. It's just there's people out there, horrible, horrible people prepared to exploit our children in such a way using social media. Finally, in the Irish Daily Mirror, Israel has launched its most devastating wave of heavy bombing raids across Syria as troops advance deeper into the embattled country. The blitz is aimed at completely dismantling, they say, toppled ex-President al-Assad's war machine so that it does not land in Israel-hating jihadists' hands. It's kind of a weird one, this, because why didn't they go after him when he was in position? If he was the fearful dictator, why were Israel content not to go in? But now they're going in because of who might be following him. So was he seen as the lesser of two evils from an Israeli perspective? Well, among the targets are chemical weapon dumps, missile launch sites and warplanes, as Israel's defense minister announced his forces have destroyed Syria's navy. Israel has pushed into a buffer zone inside Syria following the overthrow of Assad. Israeli defense minister Israel Katz said the country intended to establish a demilitarized zone in southern Syria. So Israel, very active for a very small country, and now they're encroaching in Syria. Okay, that was a run through the newspapers. If there's anything there that caught your ears or eyes, get in touch with us. We'll be more than happy to air your views. Right, just before the break, I want to give a mention of our lovely competition we've got running today, thanks to our friends at McGee's Chemist. They've got a wonderful store in Letterkenny and everything available for you too at mcgees.ie. On Friday, the day after tomorrow, we've got a hamper worth over €500 to be won. It's a Lancome Christmas hamper with a selection of Lancome products, and there's also a blank canvas 12-piece makeup brush set from the Gold Collection, a blank canvas duo cracker makeup gift set, a bottle of Boss Femme, Be Perfect amplified makeup palette, and a 20-page hard-backed photo book. So we've got 5 daily qualifiers who will be in the draw on Friday, and today's qualifier wins for the ladies 500 millilitres Chanel Chance EDP spray. And the question today is, what did Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, when did it come out? That's a difficult one because it's come out every year, so I might skip over that one. I'm not sure when it was released. I'm going to do a different one to that. Okay, we'll stick with Mariah Carey. What did Mariah Carey, what is it all she wanted for Christmas? Was it A, you, or B, me? So what did Mariah Carey, what is it all that she wanted for Christmas? Was it A, me? A, me, right, let me write that down. So was it A, me, or B, you? So I'll read that one more time to make sure everyone knows the correct order. In her famous song at Christmas time, what is it that Mariah Carey wanted? All that she wanted. Was it A, me, or was it B, you? Now, text your answer, name and where you're from to 086 60 25,000, or you can WhatsApp that number as well. So in her very famous song, Mariah Carey, all she wanted for Christmas was A, me, or B, you. Text the answer, A or B, or actually maybe just text me or you, or whatever you want to do actually, to 086 60 25,000. And one of you today will win that wonderful 50ml of Chanel Chance EDP spray, and you'll be in the draw then for that €500 plus hamper on Friday. We'll be right back after a short break. Stay where you are.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Chanel, Flowerbomb, Lancome, Giorgio Armani, Paco Rabanne. Where else but at McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny, this Christmas. Sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
Bridgend Bureau de Change is now open at Rafferty's Circle K Station, Bridgend. For all your euros, sterling and dollars, contact Bridgend Bureau de Change at Circle K Bridgend. Planning cross-border shopping this Christmas? Call into Circle K Bridgend Bureau de Change for all your currency needs. Authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
It's my family, my business. business. I don't need any help from you people. Keep asking all these questions. Mum and me are fine. I'm gonna leave. Her alone for 5 minutes. She freaks out. I just don't know how to help her. Note said she's not coming back. I've got no family, no friends. Came over yesterday. Things are kind of normal again thanks to you listening to me every week. I'm feeling better, you know.
Bernardo's changed many children's stories, but we can't without your support. Please donate today at bernardos.ie, because childhood lasts a lifetime.
If you need an eye test, look no further than Louis Walsh Opticians. Letterkenny's longest established opticians are delighted to welcome patients new and old to their state-of-the-art practice in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Their latest technology includes a 3D OCT retinal camera, which assesses the health of your eyes in minutes. Private, medical card and PRSI patients welcome. Call 91 21000 to arrange your eye test.
Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny. Your vision, our focus.
At iMotors, we offer a wide selection of 2024 X-Management and fleet vehicles, just a few months old. Our nearly new range includes petrol, diesel, self-charging hybrids and plug-in hybrids. Enjoy savings of up to €10,000 off the new price, with remaining manufacturer warranties included. Visit iMotors in Letterkenny or Malin to explore our impressive Kia and Nissan collections, and take advantage of these fantastic deals.
At Joe McGee Butchers, we have all your needs to make your Christmas dinner extra special this year. If it's a fresh whole turkey or turkey breast fillet in a vac pack cooking bag with a cooking pop-up timer, a delicious ham joint or succulent dry-aged sirloin steak, call in today to the award-winning Joe McGee's Butchers, Letterkenny Shopping Centre, where we have your Christmas all wrapped up.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
It's 20 minutes past 9. Now, we welcome into studio chairperson of the Northwest Breast Cancer Ball, Moira Lynan. Moira, thank you so much for joining us.
Not at all, Craig. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak this morning.
No, it's important that you get the message out, because you've been left in a really unfortunate position in that last Friday night, everyone was set for the Northwest Cancer Ball in the Silver Tassie Hotel. The room had been set, all the arrangements were in place, and unfortunately, Storm Dara had other ideas. And relatively late in the week, it was upgraded to a red. And I think even on the day, it was brought forward, wasn't it?
It was brought forward,
half
Greg,
11 or 11
it left
till 10
us
or
without
something.
any choice, really.
So you had to make a call, didn't you?
We had to make a call, and it was very difficult on the day. It was a sellout ball. All of the preparations had run really, really well. We were delighted with ourselves and looking forward to it, as everybody else was. And people were having makeup done and hair done. And we just realised that from the point of view of safety, we couldn't go ahead. And that kind of the advice kind of at a national level was.
And sometimes after the fact, with some of these warnings, and not to get into that conversation, you kind of think, oh, well, we probably could have.
Oh, at 10 o'clock I stood outside the Tassie and I said, where's this wind? But it
very
did come.
Clearly it did come. And you have to think about people going home afterwards and all that type of stuff as well.
Absolutely.
Right, so I presume all options then after the fact were on the table. You know, can we rearrange this? Can this be put back on? And looking at all the realities of that.
Absolutely.
So what conclusion then
the
have you come to?
The conclusion that we have come to, and I know we won't please everybody, Greg, that's an impossible thing to do, but we hope we're being fair in our treatment of both the punters, the people who are coming along to support us, and in terms of our very generous sponsors. So we have decided not to reschedule, and we are going to issue refunds to everybody. We are going to contact the people who have bought tickets. We'll get a phone call from the Tassie and myself in the next couple of days offering them their refund. And that will be managed through the Tassie and with the support of their staff. So that's what will happen there. We ask people not to ring the Tassie because we need to be sitting down with the credit card machine. Most of the payments were made by credit card. So it's much simpler if we actually make the call. So we will keep trying till we talk to everybody.
Now, of course, in the first instance, what you want to do is say, right, it's cancelled, so we want to give everyone a refund that wants a refund. But also, this was a fundraising event also. So it's up to the individual, I presume.
It is up to the individual,
whether or not
Greg,
they want that refund, or what's your message in relation to that?
Well, our message in relation to that, and we did discuss this at the ball, because you can understand we do this because we are passionate about fundraising for research. I think you had Dr. Sinead Hanley here last week with Mr. Michael Sugru. Absolutely. And can I tell you, if I have one big disappointment, a really big disappointment, is that the ball attendees did not get to hear Dr. Hanley, because she was inspirational.
And the message was, her conversation was about when the doctor becomes the patient. She had some really great insights into that.
Absolutely.
Actually.
And she also spoke about how she is alive now because of research, and some amazing figures. She talked about the fact she first got cancer 17 years ago. And when she got it, 80% of women survived for 5 years or more. And now, because of research, 92% of women with the breast cancer diagnosis are surviving for 5 years or more. And that's incredible and hugely positive news to give to people who are putting their hands in their pocket to kind of pay for research. Maybe you don't see that, but you know, your daughter might benefit, your granddaughter might benefit. You know,
and
it's important.
Scans as well too for early detections and all
absolutely.
That type of
So all of those kind of things, and it's really important. So that point of view, in terms of the discussion we had around refunds, was we know this is a tough time for people. It's an expensive time coming up to Christmas. Some people were coming for their Christmas party to the ball, which we love to see because it gives a lovely atmosphere. Those people are entitled to go and find another night somewhere to celebrate their Christmas party. Some people maybe are in a position to donate. A lot of people are not at the moment. It's you know, straightened times, as we say. So the expectation isn't there. Obviously, if any money is donated, it will go directly to the Breast Ball Fund.
I know you have to be very careful with your language because you've been very gracious here, because you're not delivering something for a return.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is unfortunately, and you can correct me where I'm wrong here, because of Storm Dara, matters completely out of the control. The ball had to be cancelled, of course. Now, looking at the weeks ahead and all that kind of stuff, it simply can't be rescheduled.
Yeah.
Anyone who bought a ticket is going to be contacted and offered a refund.
Absolutely.
And if they wish to take that refund, there is no judgment, and that's perfectly fine.
100%.
That being said,
yes,
if they choose not to, that money still goes directly.
That money goes directly
research.
to the Breast Care Fund, which is where all of the proceeds from the breast ball go.
So it's a judge-free zone.
It is a
If
judge-free zone.
you need to recoup the money to plan something else, that is perfectly fine, and you can donate down the line again.
Yes, and we're trying to handle this in a way that's fair.
If you can absorb it, the money goes straight to continue the research.
And the same with regards to our sponsors. We have an incredible amount of local sponsors, Greg. I'm always blown away by the fact that, you know, people come back year after year and say, of course we'll sponsor you. So we are approaching each of them with the view to how we should best move forward with the sponsorship as well. So we will talk to each and every one of the local businesses and businesses from a little bit further away who have supported the ball, again with a view to fairness.
Yeah, and you know, people are very generous and are very quick to come on board, and you would hear similar stories from the likes of the Donegal Hospice, and I think the reason is that unfortunately cancer is something that touches us all, either one or two of us directly, but you would hope there are people out there that haven't been affected by it in one form or other. But very sadly, everybody has,
I think
for the most part.
It hits everybody's family.
And that's why research is so important. It's to give people the best outcomes,
and to keep that driving forward, that is huge. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, those ringing people who've bought tickets are going through a list, and they have a machine on hand to reverse payments if that's the will of the person.
And cash payments will be made then through the TASI.
But the message is don't ring the TASI.
Don't ring the TASI. Yeah. And by the way, I mean, I can't leave without saying a big thank you to the TASI.
I'd say the place was down at lovely, was it? It's a lovely place anyway.
The place is just lovely. And every year we have a fantastic woman who sponsors the dressing, as they call it, of the room from Banquet Covers in Derry. And she does that as a gift to the ball every year. So it was looking stupendous. It really was, as it always is. But I must give a thanks to Kieran and Rose in the TASI and to Georgina and John for their just very professional advice in how to deal with something that was completely new to all of us, and the steadiness of their guidance and, you know, their advice to kind of, you know, not move too quickly, to take our time to make decisions about how we move forward. And that has been fantastic. And, you know, the TASI is such a loyal and good friend of the ball, so we really do appreciate them.
Yeah.
We've also been blown away by the kindness of people. I mean, we've been in contact.
I'll use a different analogy than being blown away, considering it was a
I know,
wind,
yes, it's a bad one, isn't it?
Threw the spanner in the works to begin with.
It's a bad one,
The whole
Greg.
thing
You're
was
right.
blown away.
Okay, I'm not blown away. I'm very impressed. But we have had a really generous response from our band, the beefsteak dancers, from our DJ John Bosco, from Noel Cunningham. The kindness and their generosity in how they handled a very late and unavoidable cancellation. But people are good. That's the bottom line.
Exactly.
Greg.
Exactly.
People are good.
People are good, and especially the three individuals and groups that you mentioned there.
Yeah.
They're fantastic people.
Absolutely fantastic people.
Yep. Okay, right. So the Silver Tassie will be making contact with you if you bought a ticket to either either arrange a cash return or a payback onto your card. They will call you, and as Maura has said, things can be very tight for some people, and maybe you need to organise something else. There is no judgment in receiving a refund
whatsoever.
But if you fancy absorbing it, the money goes directly to continuing the research.
Absolutely. And we want to tell people that next year's ball will be coming along better than ever on the 5th of December. So put that date in your diary. And also, we really would like if people would follow the Northwest Breast Cancer Ball on Instagram and Facebook. We're trying to build up that side of things.
Right.
So if you want to do something, somebody who wasn't coming to the ball, but you'd like to do something to support us, put the date in your diary, the 5th of December, and please follow us.
And give the social media a share. We'll share that too through our socials. All right, Maura, toughy, but listen, it is the way it is, and it was outside of your control, and you have done everything best possible to manage the situation. So a credit to you as chair. And all the team involved in organising the Northwest Breast Cancer Ball, because you've put in so much effort as well. So I presume there's
it's a small committee, and it's basically a year's work to get it together. You know, so
it is a
disappointment.
But we'll build stronger for next December.
Absolutely, bigger and better next year, Greg.
All right, Maura. Listen, thank you so much.
Thanks
for
to you,
in.
and thanks to Highland for your loyal support as well.
There's no issue whatsoever. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a
Back
million.
with more after
Thank
these.
you.
Hugo Boss, Victor and Rolf, Dior, Marc Jacobs, and Carolina Herrera. Where else but at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, where you'll find the biggest names in perfume and aftershave this Christmas. Sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
There's something about this time of year that makes you want to be near all the things that remind you of your favourite Christmas. When you get that warm and fuzzy feeling, you want to be near the people you love and the things you love. So where better to get that Christmas feeling than Letterkenny Shopping Centre. There's free parking, extended opening hours and great gifts for everyone on your list. Add in a visit to Santa, you'll have Christmas all wrapped up. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Christmas just around the corner.
Christmas is the season of giving, but it can be difficult to know who on your list wants what. Save yourself the guesswork by giving the gift of choice. Whether you're buying for the foodie, fashionista or homebird of the family, they'll love a Dunstores gift card. They can choose from everything we have in-store and online, from fashion to homewares to groceries. Give the gift of choice, perfect for everyone. Visit dunstores.com for details. However you do your Christmas shop, make Christmas for everyone at Dunn Stores. Terms and conditions apply.
Transform your home with Hegarty's Home Interiors in Buncrana. Discover a wide selection of stylish furniture and decor to create your perfect space. Our expert team offers personalised advice to match your style and budget. Visit us on Main Street, Buncrana. Open Monday to Saturday 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. Or visit hegartyshomeinteriors.ie. Hegarty's Home Interiors, making homes beautiful since 1946.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out shaneconleycars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Give the gift of sport from Brian McCormick Sports. Precision play, the perfect gift for the young footballer. Goalposts in different sizes, matched up mannequin sets and top bin targets. Try the new skills ramp with a light up precision ball. Precision play, the perfect present for the young footballer this Christmas. bmcsports.ie for next day delivery.
So the question was posed in a newspaper article: should Irish school pupils call teachers by their first names? In his memoir, Frank McCourt, the author of Angela's Ashes, recalls his time teaching in a high school in New York in the 1960s. One day a student shouted out, Yo, teacher man, he replied, call me Mr. McCourt. While teacher man might be a step too far, should we really be using formal modes of address in our school system anymore? Simon Lewis is principal of Carlow Educate Together National School. Let's see what he thinks. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning, Greg. Lovely to talk to you.
Great to have you on the show as well. Right, what's your, I suppose, individual gut feeling?
Well, my individual gut feeling, I suppose, is absolutely yes. And in fact, in Educate Together schools across the country, including in Donegal and Letterkenny there, we all call our teachers and all the staff by their first names. And that is policy of Educate Together schools. And it was something, I suppose, it was one of the more minor things that attracted me to Educate Together when I was looking for jobs. It obviously wasn't the main thing, but it just felt like a much nicer, more, I suppose, mutually respectful way of talking to children, and for children talking to me. That I suppose in this day and age, people don't call each other Mr. and Mrs. anymore, or whatever. When I was a child growing up, everyone was Mr. or Mrs. But these days, I even call my doctor by their first name. I don't call them Doctor whoever. So I don't see why teachers would be any different.
Right. So you wouldn't use the doctor prefix at all. You would just go straight in with Joe.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unless I was corrected. But again, this day and age, I think those days are kind of just have gone. It was maybe a sort of it's a remnant of the past, maybe, and possibly for really no good reason other than, I suppose, I would suggest maybe there was to try and separate people according to maybe how high up the food chain they might be in society, and I don't think that's particularly appropriate in the 21st century to be dividing people up into those sort of categories. Okay, well, you say you use first names as a way of instilling equality between the educator and the student. But is there an equality there? Does there not need to be? Is it not better for children if there is, that there are people in their lives that, they respect because they see them as, I don't know what the correct terminology is but that there's a built-in respect there. They might respect more what they have to say. They might carry that respect on through their later life, throughout their later life. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that argument all right, but I don't think you get that by being called something that is, that's just your name in a different way. I don't think whether you call me Simon or whether you call me Mr. Lewis would make this interview any more respectful or disrespectful. I think that just comes from our interaction with each other, and in a classroom situation, when we're setting up our classrooms, the idea these days again is that the teacher has a role, the pupils have their role, and there's a kind of a mutual respect that's built up. We always start off, every school would do this, whether they call the teacher by Mr., Sir, or even their first name, a kind of ground rules for how we engage with each other, how the classroom is going to be a respectful place, a happy place, a safe place for everyone. And I found, I guess in my own experience, and I suppose through the experience of the hundreds of teachers who've worked in schools where it's a first name basis, and again, it wouldn't just be Educate Together, Guelscombe would be similar, and there's a few other schools that are in that same situation. And really, respect doesn't go out the window when you're called something, when you're called your first name. It's really about the atmosphere you build up in your classroom. Okay, I see exactly where you're coming from. Claire Finn is of a different view, though. Claire, you believe teachers should be addressed as Miss, Sir. Why?
I just think it does come down to respect, and I also I appreciate that Educate Together choose not to do that, but I think as a respect, we don't call our parents by our first name, we call them mum and dad. We don't call, if we go to court, we don't call the judge, by their first name, we call them, judge. It's just it's a thing of respect. And do you believe, just to the point that Simon was making, and he can make it himself in a moment, of course, but is respect, sort of mutual respect, not established in the classroom through actions and atmosphere rather than a title? I think actions obviously back it up, but I think that there, as a starting point, the teacher has earned the respect of having that title by the fact that they're qualified in that role. So therefore they should be, addressed as that title to start out with. And I think, there's so many things nowadays where, it's all about equality, etc., etc. but there has to be that differential. The teacher is not their friend. The teacher is there to teach them. They're there as a learning capacity. So I think that should be differentiated.
What do you think, Simon?
I guess it really depends on what you are trying to achieve by calling someone other than their name. I don't respect anyone more if I call them, by their title or by their surname. And I mean, I can understand. And again, I've heard people make that argument, but I think it doesn't really come down to respect. I think that might come down to tradition. That's what we've always done, and we've never really questioned it particularly. And I suppose, I just again from the experience of working in a system where first name bases are the norm, that respect doesn't go out the window.
Yeah, but I suppose it's not just in
the
the classroom, Simon, it's beyond. So say, for instance, if I want to be respectful to someone, be they a peer or someone older than me, I might well refer to them as, Mr. Gallagher or Mrs. Sweeney, nice to see you. And if they want to correct me and say, sorry, it's Mary or John, I'll go, no problem, I'll call them Mary from John there. But it is, I believe, and I was raised in a way that is respectful. Would you agree that in broader society it is respectful to use people's titles until such time as you're sort of given permission by them to call them something differently?
It's a great question, and I mean I was raised probably similar to you. I imagine we're of the same generation, and I just think society has changed in a way, and whether that's good or bad, I don't know.
But it is. I want you to know, Simon, because our children are in to some extent your hands. So I want you to know the answer to that question. Not just to sort of roll with it, because if my education was better because there was more sort of respect in that space in terms of how you address people, we shouldn't just throw the baby out with the bathwater just because life has changed. You know where I'm coming from?
Oh, absolutely. No, I can see where you're coming from. All right. I mean, all I have is, 45, 46 years of Educate Together doing the same thing. And from meeting people who've gone to those schools, I don't think they lack respect just because of this. I think it's an interesting variable to look at, but I genuinely don't believe, and I don't think there's anything to back up that simply calling someone a different name than their actual name creates anything other than a barrier rather than a difficulty in respect. I think it's just I mean, I think like a lot of things in education, sometimes tradition just it gets its own story and gets its own kind of norms and rules, and therefore they become the truth.
I want to bring Claire back in a second, Simon, but I've been talking to employers, people in different areas of employment, and one of the greatest challenges they have at the moment is students coming out of either second level education or third level education, or courses for that matter, and they lack resilience. They lack the grit for the workplace. And it's a great challenge. And they're actually really seeking now in certain areas to employ older people or retrain older people, because younger people coming through just aren't prepared for the workplace. Is it possible that those seeds are being sown in an environment where a teacher is seen as equal to a student and it's all about mutual respect? I mean, should a student have the same level of respect in a teaching environment as you do, for that matter, considering you've probably went through 8 or 9 years of education? You've probably spent, tens of thousands of euros to get to the position you are. How are you equal to a 6-year-old?
Well, I mean, it's a great question, and I'd say to you there that I wish we had that much influence on how someone acts when they get to the workplace. There's actually a really, really good book by a guy called Dan Tapscott, and he is a social. Gosh, I've forgotten the name of the job, but he looks at social situations and anthropology, I think is the word. And basically, it's actually a generational thing, in much the same way as the pre-war parents of their generation before the Second World War couldn't understand the hippies of the 1960s. I think what we have is that same generational gap, that has happened, the pre-internet generation versus the post-internet generation, it's an actual much bigger thing than schools. It's just fascinating. It's called Dan Tapscott's the author. I can't think of the I generation, but it's called. Really good.
I want to go back to Claire here. Anya says on Facebook, I agree with Claire. The children in my class know I have a first name, but as we're not friends, they don't call me by it. There is respect there, and I think that talks to the point you were making, Claire.
That's exactly the point I'm making. They're there. The teacher's there in a role. They have they're there to teach the children. They're not there to be their friend. It's a bit like I think children don't call their parents Claire or Greg or whatever. They say mom, they call them dad or mommy, daddy. It's a respect thing. They know that's what their name is, but that's not what they address them by. And I think that's a problem in society now, is that children think that everybody's their friend. They think people on Facebook are their friend. That on social media is their friend. They're not friends. They're other people. And I think it's important that in school that they learn that there is a difference. There is a hierarchy. A hierarchy, I suppose. That these people have a position of respect, and you address them accordingly. I don't agree that they should be just called by their first name. And I think in the Gaelic Colonna they do call them by their first name, but they call them Moonshore, whatever their first name is. So it's the same as in the secondary school calling them teacher or whatever. It's not just that immediate first name, which I don't think is respectful. And I do think I have looked into this thing on resilience, and younger people are not as resilient as previous generations.
It's just that if everyone in national schools all pally right with the adults, and then they go into to secondary school, and sometimes there's more well-being classes than there are French classes or what have you, and then they go into sort of the third level education situation, and there's a huge focus, and quite rightly so, about well-being again and mental health and all that, and it really should be there. Don't get me wrong, I'm not questioning that. And then you get into the workplace, the real life stuff, and it's like, bloody hell, this isn't like what I've lived for the last. No one here is constantly making sure I'm okay. No one here, I have a boss, I have a line manager. Do you get where I'm coming from, Simon? As I say, I'm not blaming you. You are not the architect of this. Don't get me wrong. It's just we do make some decisions now, and they have ripple effects, and I don't know how important they are, and I'd just be really concerned for maybe the young adults that were turning out. And as you quite rightly pointed out earlier on, what impact is this having on that? Probably minimal, right? But it does kind of feed into a bigger picture for me. I actually am really probably quite glad, because if my toddler calls me Greg, I actually don't respond to him. To an extent. But that is the God's honest truth. I'm probably seen as a really bad parent. But I just think that little bit of respect. I would never have called my dad by his first name, because it would have been seen as disrespectful. And I had a great relationship with my dad, Simon. But anyway, that's just my life experience. And you're saying it works well in the Educate Together space.
It doesn't not work, if that's even a sentence. It hasn't changed the way children speak with their teacher, or taking down the barrier of having a first name or a surname just doesn't change the relationship between the roles that people have in the school. I think all the lack of resilience that you're talking about, I think that comes from a wider societal sort of issues in the way, I suppose, parenting styles have changed and so on.
But it all feeds in.
Only if it was.
It all feeds in. If you're best mates with teachers at school and you're best mates with your parents at home, it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway.
I don't think calling someone by the first name makes you a friend. And also, I mean, if we follow the logic of this, I mean, 95% of schools still go on the sir and ma'am and all the rest of it, and we still have the problem with resilience. It's Educate Together will be a tiny percentage of the population.
Of course not. Yeah, and I think really, Simon, what the conversation is that if it works for Educate Together, and lots of people love that model of schooling, it's about if it was more broadly speaking. And the reason why it's interesting to speak to you is because you're there, you're already doing it that way, and can talk to how it works in that situation. And your philosophies you've been mentioned earlier on, not yours, by the way. I'm on about the school, is that you earn respect, and the title doesn't necessarily guarantee you that. And I respect that, Simon, and I really appreciate you speaking to us.
A pleasure.
But Claire Finn, presumably from your perspective, you would like to see in the majority of schools the status quo remain.
Absolutely. And I also think that the children who go to Educate Together end up in a secondary school where they do have to say sir or miss.
Yeah.
So I think that's an extra challenge for them when they get there.
All right, I hear you. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks to Simon Lewis. Thanks to Claire Finn there. Lots of you messaging in on this one as well. I think the whole sir miss in schools makes it as if teachers are above everyone else. Do you call your boss on a building site sir or miss? In my opinion, teachers look down on these professionals. But in a working environment, you might call the foreman gaffer. You know, I know it's not necessarily as much in Ireland as elsewhere, but you know, it can happen. What about youth workers, youth club leaders, creche and preschool staff, after-school activity facilitators, etc., Irish dancing? But there's different spaces, I suppose. Growing up in the 70s in a large neighbourhood, we always called the parents of our friends Mr. and Mrs. That is what's called respect. That would be the way I would have. And do you know, I wouldn't change it I wouldn't change it. And even, you know, my adult children now, I would encourage them to not be over formal. I think it's an over formality, really. That's the way it is for me, so that it can be over formal. Whenever I meet different people, I call them by their relevant titles. Example, Reverend, Father, Headmaster, Doctor. I would want my children and grandchildren to address people with their relevant titles. Children are cheeky enough these days, and people in these jobs need to be respected. Teachers should be called by their first name. Look what happened to Enoch Burke. Enoch always manages to find his way into a conversation. It's respect and manners, says the listener. Another, I disagree with that gentleman. He says those days are gone. Yes, sadly, all respect for people has gone too. I think it's sad that this is the world we've come to live in. But we don't have to necessarily, and this is not relating to Simon and what they do in their schools. I don't want to over-amplify that. But we don't have to accept that where the world is going is where we want it to be. There's quite an awful lot of changes in the world that people are pushing back on now, because they're going, hold on a second, did we make the right call? Was that the right thing to do? So nothing is irreversible. A caller says, no, he's wrong. It's respect and manners. Mr. X and Mrs. X shows a little bit of authority, and a lot of kids, and a lot of kids, not all, and they say a lot of kids need that. This conversation has also been rumbling on social media. Marlene says, respect is earned. The days of expecting respect are over. Teachers need to remember to show the same respect to the kids as they want from the kids. It does not matter if it's first names or titles. If teachers shout and intimidate the kids, some kids will shut down and other kids will rise up against them. Personally in favour of first names, but that's what I grew up with. Roisin says, whatever about the students using titles, I think it's awful that SNAs have to do it. It was obligatory in a special school in town back in the day, but hopefully things have changed since. I would never use a title myself with a teacher. Those days are long gone. Up to the teacher with the students, I would say. Anne-Marie says male teachers were master and female teachers were miss, no matter what the marital status was. Anne-Marie says stick with surnames. Awena says no, it's a matter of respect for the teachers. Claire, when in second level and above, it's respectful to give adults their title if they want it. National schools should be more relaxed. I'll go through a couple more here and then we'll just take that break. Mary says Gael School as the best option. Teacher call their teachers Muncher and then their first name. But you see, the Muncher, it's still a title. So, you know, I wouldn't get hung up on it being Miss or Mr. A lot of students would just literally say teacher, and not use Mr., Mrs. or their name. Marty says, no, keep it as it is. The way things are going, it might be the only bit of respect children learn. Elizabeth, no, unless the teacher says so, show some respect. And Paddy's of the view that it's entirely up to the teacher. All right, interesting conversation, interesting one. Let us know what you think. WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, with all your perfume and aftershave presents this Christmas delivered to your door, or order online and collect in store. Visit mcgees.ie.
Want highly reliable broadband for a great price? Get the 3-5G home broadband for just €20 a month for 12 months. Setup is easy. Simply plug in and go. Visit your local 3-store in Buncrana. Subject to coverage. Terms and conditions apply. Customer speed may vary. Ask in store for details.
We move Ireland's energy.
through one of Europe's most modern gas networks, delivering the energy you need today throughout the country. And now we're moving Ireland's energy in a new way, bringing more sustainable sources into the pipeline. Gas Networks Ireland, moving Ireland's energy.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Luxury is not merely seen or heard or even touched. True luxury is experienced. It lies in the minute details that elevate the ordinary into the extraordinary. It's quiet spoken, but leaves a lasting impression. You know it when you feel it. Luxury begins with L. Lexus. Experience amazing. Discover the all-electrified range at Lexus Letterkenny.
The big clothing sale is now on at Homeland Letterkenny. This Friday and Saturday only in store. Save 10% off Snickers and 10% off mascot workwear. Save 20% off regatta and expert clothing. The ideal Christmas gift. Exclusively at Homeland Letterkenny. Middle Road, Ballyreen this weekend.
Looking for the ultimate night out? Voodoo Venue Letterkenny has you covered, with a late bar from Thursday through to Monday and great live entertainment. Every night at Voodoo is a party waiting to happen. Gather your crew and create unforgettable memories at Voodoo Venue Letterkenny, where the weekend never ends.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Bally Buffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
So let's see what the weather forecast has in store for us. Mist, fog and frost this morning. Stubborn to clear in some areas. Otherwise it'll be dry with a mix of cloud and some sunny spells. Cold with highest temperatures of 2 to 4 degrees in a light northeast breeze. There was a yellow cold weather warning for last night for County Donegal. I didn't see it myself. I don't know what it's like in your part of the region, but didn't dip below zero, thankfully, which is always good. Right. Good morning, Greg. I'd like to warn people about another phone scam doing the rounds. They call you and warn about money being taken out of your account. My father had taken the call and he entertained these people before I was made aware of what was going on. I simply asked what bank they were calling from and the caller couldn't answer me. I just want to put people on their guard. Now, there is a number here. Now, unfortunately, they can clone numbers, so if I give out a number, it could be misleading because they change the numbers. They have that technology now, which is a bit crazy. They can pretty much make any number appear on your phone. So, listen, thanks for the heads up, and we got it out there. Hi Highland Radio. I haven't received my air bill by post for November. I always do by post. I got a stiff message yesterday. Your chargeable outgoing service have been barred. To restore your full service, please ensure you pay your outstanding balance in full urgently. I contacted Air last week about not receiving my bill. They say it's on its way. And then I got this text yesterday. Are any of your listeners in the same situation now? I'm not going to be in the same situation because I would favour direct debits, and that's only because I'm sloppy. So I wouldn't be in that situation. But has anyone else got that stiff message? Which is a bit of a pain if they've restricted your service there, I would say. Point about penalty points and options to take up a course. We talked about this yesterday. Instead, a good idea, fine. But if you're caught after your fine, you should be doubled and 5 penalty points. So carrot and stick approach, a mixture of both. Pre-existing conditions will be covered when switching. This is to do with health insurance, another conversation we had yesterday. A 2-year upgrade rule will apply only if moving to a higher plan. For peace of mind, shop around and have the conversation. The private medical insurers' agents are specialists in this area, or check out the HIA website. Some advice there for you. Rightio, busy first hour. Enjoyed that. We'll be back with the second hour of the show after we take a break for the news and the obituary notices.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time, visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
Discover a new standard in healthcare at Greenview Medical Centre, Letterkenny. For routine checkups or urgent concerns, Greenview Medical Centre offers children's consultations, referrals, prescriptions and specialised male and female healthcare. Don't wait to get the care you deserve. Book now at greenviewmedicalcentre.ie or call 074 920 2070. Open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Greenview Medical Centre, Riverside Retail Park, Letterkenny. A new health horizon.
Millionaire Raffle from the National Lottery is back. There's 1 millionaire guaranteed and over €6.3 million in cash prizes to be won. The draw is on New Year's Eve and tickets are limited to 600,000. Have you got yours? The National Lottery. It could be you. Gift responsibly.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
If you're looking for a competitive insurance quote, contact Hickey Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers in Letterkenny. Home, car or van insurance, farm, commercial or public liability insurance. They compare quotes from all the leading insurers so you get a great price. Call Hickey Clark and Langan on 91 26688 or call into the office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Welcome to Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms in Donegal Town. Discover affordable luxury with our bespoke fitted furniture solutions. With almost 30 years of serving Ireland and the Northwest, we're your trusted experts. Visit us Monday to Friday 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Book your free consultation today on 074 9725822 or visit cherrymore.ie. Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, where affordability and luxury combine.
Nullag TFI, Keeleen sé sin nullag hanavach arista aontak le TFI. Le nísmó serví sí ná mar bhí an ríomh seo I rehéidir na nullag. Ná daon dearmid, is féidir leat na córta líp TFI a úsáid le haid tailí níos ísle. Agus is féidir gach turas a flanáil an app TFI Live. Mar sin, buchas le fia go bhfuil sé ann. Sweeney TFI le haid the thuras éiltúla fádim lína. Le haid ólas herví sí nullag, pay chuig transportforireland.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Experts say a national plan is needed to prevent homes being lost to coastal erosion. A new report from the journal Investigates, which found 5 councils are still allowing residential and commercial premises to be built on erosion hotspots, has been published. A study into the risk of erosion was promised in Inishowen 5 years ago, with members of the local municipal district now calling for a report into its findings. The OPW says while it's responsible for the technical aspects of assessing coastal change impacts, matters associated with social change and erosion are generally the responsibility of local authorities. Patricia Devlin from the journal Investigates says that's leading to a mixed approach across the country.
There is no one size fits all for what to do with coastal erosion, so each coastal council are dealing with it differently. And the issue is that there are still some councils that are building on vulnerable coasts, which experts say is irresponsible.
Contracts have been signed to deliver almost 70 new social homes in Donegal. 21 social houses are planned for Barrackhill in Carndonagh, 10 for Carn Road, Glenealy, and a further 35 in Drumroosk West, Donegal Town. With more, here's Michaela Clark.
Donegal County Council has recently completed 2 contracts to design and build 21 social houses at Barrackhill, Carndonagh and 10 at Carn Road, Glenealy. The developments being delivered by Lowry Construction Limited are already at design stage, with on-site construction of the high-quality sustainable homes set to commence in February 2025. Meanwhile, contracts for a turnkey acquisition of 35 social housing units at Drumrooski West, Donegal Town have also been signed. Works are due to commence there and be delivered in 2 phases.
An Inishowen councillor says council houses have begun to reliant on electricity. Councillor Paul Canning says it was particularly evident when thousands were left without power during Storm Dara recently. That resulted in many living in social homes having no heat because their homes no longer have the capacity for solid fuel heating. He says Donegal County Council needs to look at alternatives to electric power.
That a lot of older people in particular were sitting in their houses with blankets, keeping them warm. And these are houses that were within the council stock, and that we changed those houses from being reliant on solid fuel. Whenever we are doing that, we need electricity for all of that, and we have become over-reliant on electricity. And I requested Donegal County Council and their forward planners and their forward architects to actually start looking at alternatives.
Gardaí still have a number of hours to question a woman about the murder of Karen Dernan. The little boy from Dundalk in County Louth was reported missing last August, but Gardaí believe he was murdered in May or June of 2022. A woman in her 20s was detained in County Louth yesterday. She was known to Karen and reportedly recently arrived back in Ireland by ferry. Conor Gallagher, crime correspondent with the Irish Times, says this will be a very slow process.
People I've been speaking to have cautioned against expecting a major breakthrough in the case, or caution against expecting anyone to be charged with murder in the coming days. They say this is a step along the way, and it's an important step, but that there is a lot of work to be done. We have to remember, of course, the remains of Karen have still not been located.
There's pressure on the newly elected TD Owen Hayes to resign. The Dublin-based South Deputy was suspended from the Social Democrats yesterday over when he sold shares he owned in a company linked to the Israeli Defence Forces. The party is investigating after it emerged he sold his shares in June, 1 month after he was elected to Dublin City Council in the local elections. He received €200,000 from the sale. People Before Profit TD Paul Murphy says Owen Hayes should step down.
I think it matters when we go before the electorate that we tell the truth to people and people are able to make a decision on that basis. I think the right thing to do here would be to come completely clean, to resign his seat, to give the money over to Palestinian charity, and then if he wants, stand for re-election on the basis that, look, I made a terrible mistake.
Israel has carried out airstrikes on suspected chemical weapons sites in Syria to stop them from falling into the hands of extremists. The country's military says it targeted more than 350 sites, while Israeli troops are pushing into a buffer zone between the two countries. There are concerns about a power vacuum after President Bashar al-Assad was overthrown at the weekend. Sky's diplomatic affairs editor Dominic Waghorn says Israel's actions will not go down well.
Is preemptively trying to neutralise any threat that this government could pose to Israel in the future. Syrians will be outraged by that, and they would feel that their new government needs to have a chance to defend itself.
Weather forecast dry today with a mix of cloud and some sunny spells. Cold with top temperatures 2 to 5 degrees Celsius in a light northeast breeze. Mostly dry tonight with a good deal of cloud. Frost and some fog will form in light northeast or variable breezes. Lowest overnight temperatures -3 to +1 degree Celsius. Tomorrow largely dry with a good deal of cloud. Limited sunny spells. Some patches of light rain or drizzle possible in top temperatures of 3 to 6. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with headlines at 11. Check all of the day's news on our website, highlandradio.com. But for now, from the news team, good morning.
The obituary notice says for this Wednesday morning, December the 11th. The death has taken place of Jimmy Begley, Glenalla, Milford, reposing at the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny, this afternoon from 2 o'clock until 3 o'clock. Removal from there at 3 o'clock, going to the residence of his sister-in-law Mary Begley, Glenalla, Milford. Funeral Mass on Friday morning at 11 o'clock in St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen. Burial afterwards in Rathmullen Cemetery. Mass can be viewed on mcn.live. Family time from 10 o'clock until 10 o'clock and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Elma Duncan, née Stevenson, O'Hallard, Letterkenny. Elma's remains are reposing at her late residence today from 2 o'clock until 10 o'clock and tomorrow from 12 noon until 10 o'clock. Funeral from there on Friday afternoon at 12:15, going to Rye Presbyterian Church, Manor Cunningham, for funeral service of Thanksgiving at 1 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. Family time on the morning of the funeral, please. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to Medical 4 Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Ewan Campbell, Englewood, New Jersey, formerly Beechwood Avenue, Letterkenny, reposing at Kugler Funeral Home, 311 5th Street, Saddlebrook, New Jersey. Funeral services and visiting hours for family and friends on Friday, with viewing from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock local time. Cremation private for family and close friends only. Donations, if desired, can be made in support of the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust, care of Pascal Blake, Funeral Director. And the death has occurred of Jacqueline Hannigan née Ryan, Corgery, Ballybuffet, reposing at her late residence. Funeral leaving her late residence tomorrow morning at 10:15 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Shesh O'Neill, followed by interment in Drumbo Cemetery. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish YouTube channel. The house is strictly private to family only, please. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Mátá symptom vírus, flu nó COVID-19 bar susaglacha agus fannach sa bhaile. Mar ní amháin go méid tú ag tuairt aird a thain, beidh tú ag cosint daoine eile freisin. Daoine tá mór leat, agus daoine nar casa ort fiú, a téitá a bheith i mhaol níos mó. Agus ná déon darmad go bhfuil comhairle ar hsi.ie chun tú a chur ar de cheann léim a rís. Ó aimimeach na seirbhíse sláinte.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And you're welcome back. It's 8 minutes past 10 on this Wednesday, the 11th of December, 2024. How are you all keeping? Some of your comments coming in so far this morning. I had a teacher back in secondary school, says this listener, who would insist on his title being used as he had a doctorate. Nothing has made me respect titles less than an insistence on using them. You'll get respect when you earn it, not from your title, says a listener. Yep, that's another point of view. Michelle says, no, it should be Mr., Mrs., Mr., more respectful. Kelly totally agrees they should be called by the first name. So it's one of those interesting topics, actually, whereby I would say 60-40 in favour of the Mr. and Mrs., maybe 70-30, but an awful lot of people actually would be quite content with just first names only. Morning, Greg. On Saturday, I lost my debit card somewhere between Creasla and Donegal Town. I thought it was gone until I got a call from AIB Ballybuffet on Monday morning to say that my card had been slipped under the bank's front door and I could collect it any time. Some kind person found my card and had gone to the bank with it at the weekend. Hoping to hear this and know how thankful I am. That comes in from Annie. So you made a big difference in someone's life if that was you that found the card and slipped it under the bank door. It got back to its owner, by the way, so it's probably a nice update actually for whomever did that. So a nice little story as we lead up to Christmas, and I love those nice stories as well. You know, on this program we do cover a lot of issues that affect listeners, and that's kind of our role to help and what have you, but we also get lots of nice positive messages and conversations as well, and the more of that the merrier. We want it to be a nice mixed bag for you out there. Strange that the main conversation in the media today is centred around the alleged murder of corporation boss in New York than the corruption trial of Israel's leader who once wanted for mass genocide. Yes, indeed. I wouldn't say there's more of it. The problem is it's what the public consumes, generally speaking, and I'm talking here to the national media. Like at the moment, you know, Artie, you're going massive on the Syria story. I'm not sure it's necessarily what the Irish public want. I think they see what BBC and CNN are doing and they think, oh, we must do that as well. I'm not sure there's as much interest here. And you can see in the newspapers, they're not leading with that story. The fact that the New York story has just more traction, and you can see that in sort of website clicks and what have you. It just has more traction and people are more interested because it's easier to get your head around perhaps than the awful actions, genocidal actions, most people would agree, that are taking place. And it's a human condition. It is the way it is. And it's about what people engage more with. And I think people are more interested in that story that might end up being a Netflix documentary. In fact, it's I would be amazed if people aren't already being cast for a show on some platform or other. Owen Hayes was given shares in Palantir as part of a salary package of a job he had about 10 years ago. He sold them in July when beginning his political career, albeit not June as declared. He's not committed a crime. He's not committed a crime, no, but people weren't aware of that as he stood for election. It wasn't declared. It was a misdeclaration of his interests, and that means that people might feel that he received votes that he ordinarily wouldn't have. Greg, he's no different to the rest of them. It doesn't matter what party boss is passing, he'll look to get on. It's the pension, they say. Can you please mention that people, or for people to be more considerate of pram parking spots outside shops? They're needed for parents with prams and children. It is infuriating the amount of people who park in these spots with no kids or prams, while parents are having to take kids in this weather from much further and smaller spots. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. God, excuse me. So I'll start again. Can you please mention that people ask people to be more considerate of pram parking spots outside shops? They're needed for parents with prams and kids. It's infuriating the amount of people who park in these spots with no kids or prams, while parents are having to take kids in this weather from much further and smaller spots. 3 kids under 3 here. Extra room is needed for the pram to safely be put up, and by the time you get each child in it without getting soaked, especially when there's parking for this. And to be fair, plenty of parking at shopping centres. Thank you to them for that. Thanks for reading this out. And if you're trying to take a baby or a toddler out of the side of a car, you need to fully open the door. And the pram, you set it up and you need to bring it into one side and then transfer the child to it. That's why those parking spaces are bigger, and they are abused because it's kind of private parking in an awful lot of cases, and I think people think it's all right to park there. But it puts a terrible inconvenience on a young mom or dad, often out shopping on their own. Hi, can you please highlight the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust on your airwaves? There is a carol singing event on the 15th of December from 5:30 p.m. in St Mary's Chapel, Melmount, Strabane. This is a charity that helps to bring loved ones home that have passed while living abroad. And I've had the opportunity to speak to those behind the Bell Repatriation Trust, the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust, on many an occasion. And it's astonishing. It's astonishing what they do. And they've helped so many people in this area as well. Sometimes you hear about it, other times you don't. But very sadly, if someone passes away outside of Ireland, the Kevin Bell Repatriation Trust is there for them. And it happens more often than not. So if you want to support them, and it sounds like a lovely event, it's a carol singing event on the 15th of December from 5:30 p.m. in St Mary's Chapel, Melmount, Strabane. Now, I just want to give you a chance to win a 50 milliliter Chanel Chance EDP spray. It is designed for ladies, and you can get it from McGee's Chemist. They have a beautiful shop in Letterkenny, but also all their stuff's available online at mcgees.ie. And we were talking about shopping local, actually, and you can shop online locally as well. But I noted for those maybe relying on Amazon, it's getting a wee bit edgy there, because it seems that they've pushed out all of their delivery dates, or the majority of them, to Monday the 23rd of December. So people who are waiting on stuff maybe get messages saying it's being delayed or what have you. I'm sure it will all arrive before Christmas if you have ordered, but it's just interesting. When we were talking about shopping local, a lot of you would choose Amazon. I'm not sure if you've noticed that a lot of the delivery dates are either post-Christmas or just in the last 2 days before Christmas, which is quite interesting. But no worries if you shop at mcgees.ie, you're supporting a local business there. Now, we have a prize today, as I mentioned, that 5 milliliter Chanel Chance EDP spray. But on Friday, we're giving away that hamper worth over €500. And today's question is, what is it that Mariah Carey in her famous Christmas song wanted for Christmas? All I want for Christmas is A, me, or B, you. What did Mariah Carey want for Christmas? A, me, or B, you? Text your answer, your name and where you're from, or WhatsApp it, for that matter, to 086 60 25,000. You could win that spray today, and also you'd be in with a 1 in 5 chance of winning that Lancome hamper worth over €500, which includes a selection of Lancome products, a blank canvas 12-piece makeup brush set from the Gold Collection, a blank canvas duo cracker makeup gift set, and much, much more. It's free to enter, of course, particularly with WhatsApp. There might be a text charge if you're texting in. You can text most numbers now for free, can't you? Whether it's SMS or WhatsApp. So get involved. Why not? Just send in. What did Mariah Carey want for Christmas? Was it me or you? And it's all she wanted, you know. Text your answer, You can either say me or you or AOB. It's up to you. Your name and where you're from to 086 60 25,000. I just want to let you know that there's a collision on the main road between Manor Cunningham and Newtown Cunningham. It's involving a bus and a car. The road is passable, but with caution. We've got no indication of injuries or the extent of those injuries at this point. We'll update you, of course, throughout the day. At this point, it's just to make you aware that if you're approaching on the Manor Cunningham to Newtown Cunningham Road, there is a collision there. It is passable at this point, but emergency services might arrive, or perhaps they're already there, and that might change. We'll keep you updated on that. But as I say, we've no indication at this point the severity of it, or if there are any injuries or what have you. Okay, let's take a break. Back with more very shortly.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday the 11th of December. You're playing for the daily prize of €600 on the blue sheet. The reference number is S8. It's game number 50. The numbers are 29, 32, 2, 31, 42, 55, 4, 67, 58, and finally 65. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
It's Ireland's greatest live show. The Three Amigos, Jimmy Buckley, Robert Mizell and Patrick Feeney are back on tour. Get ready for a truly amazing experience full of laughter, music and song. See The Three Amigos live Tuesday, January 21st, Clonry Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets priced $39.50, now available at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where booking fees may apply.
Happy Christmas from the Three Amigos!
This Christmas, let a little magic into your kitchen with the Ninja Air Fryer. Whether it's crispy roast potatoes, perfectly cooked meats, or golden roast veg, Ninja helps you whip up your festive favourites with ease. Save time, save space, and make Christmas dinner stress-free. Find your range of Ninja Air Fryers now at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow. Ben Sweeney Euronics, helping make your Christmas cooking merry and bright.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. This Christmas, make it special. Shop local. Support #BuyDonegal. Discover an incredible range of Donegal brands, products and services right here in the heart of our county. Whether you're hunting for the perfect gift for loved ones or a local business ready to reach a wider audience, #BuyDonegal is the answer. Visit buydonegal.ie to find exclusive offers and unique gifts from Donegal businesses, or find out how your business can benefit from this advertising opportunity. Let's celebrate and showcase Donegal on a global stage. #BuyDonegal is an initiative of Donegal County Council, proudly supporting our local economy.
The 9 till noon show with McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, offering a great range of digital cameras and binoculars for Christmas. McGee's, the photographic experts, where the best costs less.
Now we're joined on the programme by the chairman of Finn Harps Football Club, Ian Harkin. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you again, and I must compliment you on the very festive background that you have.
My wife will take all the credit for
Certainly, Christmas is coming to the Harkins home. Now, hopefully Christmas comes to Finn Harps too with a successful planning application, because there is renewed hope for Finn Harps' new stadium as a fresh planning application has been lodged. I was under the impression, with everything that's been going on and having seen the designs and everything, Ian, and pardon my ignorance, that we were already at this point. So is this revised, or why is there a new planning application going in?
Yeah, so we went back to the council and we asked them, we showed them what we were developing in terms of the original plans that we had submitted was a concrete structure on a four-sided structure. It's pretty much the same footprint as what we've submitted. But in the intervening years, with inflation and everything else, we've had to redesign our stadium completely and go with a modular format. So we hadn't updated our planning with that. So we had to go back in with the council. They said, look, it's better going in with fresh application, and a lot of the work has been done under the ground back in 2008. So this is just, in terms of the heights and the footprint of it, we're just updating it for the latest design.
And the more efficient way of constructing it, presumably.
Yeah, a lot more efficient way. Yeah, so it's based on what Salford City have built in Manchester, and I suppose when you look at it, what are the things we went out to our fan group and asked them what are the most important things, and there's a lot of people in Donegal that I think will come to watch a match in Finn Harps, but they need to have a roof over their head, they need to have clean toilets, and they need to have a good match night experience. So that four-sided structure was something that they really wanted. So even though our budget is quite small, we believe that we'll be able to deliver a four-sided structure.
And it's about buzz and atmosphere as well. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's the right terminology, but, you create like an amphitheatre. So,
Yeah.
it leads to a good night out. There's good buzz, and then more people want to come along. And it sort of, it kind of has that ripple effect.
Yeah, I mean, the plans that we've submitted, it's for, it's a multi-phase development, and the ancillary stuff that we're going to be building behind the west stand and behind the east stand, we won't be able to deliver those all in the first phase, but we will have the footprint of it. So those are for future developments. It's, if we do qualify into Europe, we do have to have space available for media, for broadcasting, all of that stuff. So you need to put it into your plans now. You need to future-proof it. There's a few other things that we're doing with regards to future-proofing as well. Coming down the line in the next year or two, the FAI are going to be grading all of the academies within Ireland. And part of that is you have to have educational facilities on site with your club. So there's a transition year course which will be for the under 17s. And then there's a post-leaving cert course as well. So we need to have those facilities thought through, and we'll make them multi-purpose as well, so that there will be educational rooms during the day. In the evening, then they can be for match night for those media facilities that we needed. We'll also be able to commercially let them out, and they'll be available for other training purposes for other commercial organizations if the demand is there.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will be. And in terms of I think you referenced it there, to have the future proofing where it can be capable of growing to a Category 3 stadium. What does that mean in layman terms?
Yeah, so UEFA have this category rating. So 1 is the lowest rating, and that is what Finn Park is currently at the moment. We're actually getting derogations to be able to achieve Category 1. And Category 1 is 250 seats, and there's a whole list of facilities that you need to have, from changing rooms to lighting to the pitch, surroundings and turnstiles and things like that. But Finn Park is Category 1. The minimum that we're going to aim for in the new stadium is Category 2. So that is, I think it's 1,500 seats. And you got to have an irrigation system on the pitch. All of these little things, they're all itemized. You can see it there on Wikipedia, but there's a whole list of things that we had to go through with the FAI to make sure that they're included in our application. So we've been spending most of this year going through, checking, making sure it's in there, but also looking at the Category 3 status. So all of that as well is in our plans for what we're submitting at the moment. So it would be Category 3 compliant, but if we delivered all of it at the same time. But at the very beginning, we're going to be Category 2. And
just looking at some of the artists' impressions of the finished stadium, it's going to look the business. There's just no doubt about that. And obviously hoping that the planning authority look favourably on this. But given what was already approved, you hopefully could be optimistic. And I know I kind of probably ask you the same question every time you're on, but if successful, when do you anticipate or hope to start seeing progress being made in the actual construction?
Yeah, so the next phase that we're going through at the minute is to do the costing exercise. So we have a budget of 7.3 million for the build phase, plus then design fees and professional fees on top of that. So we've got rough numbers that we believe that what we want can be delivered for that, but we need to go through the detailed costing exercise. So when we've been sitting with the FAI and the Department of Sport this year, we've got that detailed drawings done now. So we have to hand that over to our quantity surveyor, and everything then needs to be added up to the point then that we sit down with our partners and work out, the legalities of it. That process, the planning process itself takes 3 months. So it's literally just been submitted. So there's a 3-month process of that happening, and in the background we will be doing this costing exercise. If that works out, we'll go to the detailed design drawings for mechanical and electrical, and also be in the process of developing the legal contracts.
Brilliant stuff. That's all very positive, and hopefully I think everyone wants at this point now to get to a point whereby we're seeing construction started, because I'm sure you're not sick and tired talking about it. That sounds terrible, but you know what I mean. It's like waiting for Christmas now. You just want to see it begin. In the share offerings, how did that go? Is there still options there for people, maybe Christmas present ideas and stuff? What's the crack
Absolutely,
there?
yeah. Today we'll be launching a voucher for people who want to gift a share ownership in our club. I suppose, like, when you're looking at the the justification for the stadium itself, we're building a stadium that's going to be a capacity of 5,500. So if the people of Donegal are saying, everybody is saying to me that, if we get the facilities right, they will come. And everybody that we've spoken to is saying that this is a good idea, the share launch and opening up our ownership to the people of Donegal. What we need to be able to demonstrate to the people in Dublin, in the FAI and in the Department of Sport, is that we've got these numbers. So we've set ourselves a target of a minimum of 3,000 people, before the season starts, hopefully. We've got 1,200 people committed to it already.
That's actually quite a good uptake there, isn't it?
It's not too bad, actually. Yeah.
I know you get an initial launch rush, but there's other ways of driving it as the weeks progress. Yeah, it's not too bad at all.
So like, if each of the people that have already committed to getting another 5 people on board, you're there. It's only 25 quid. And what you get for that is to say that you're part owner of this football club. We'll then, that will develop a confidence in its own that we can deliver this, and also that there is a demand out there for when it is built, that people will come.
And it's about people are very passionate about sport. And people often, and no disrespect to them, are very passionate about what Liverpool are doing or what Manchester United are doing or what Chelsea are doing, and spend a fortune going over to see Celtic or have a season ticket, and that's grand. This is really, though, about having the same passion and buy-in for a local club. And we see clubs at the moment, raking in millions of euro with European runs and all that kind of stuff. And who is to say that those years can't return to Finn Harps, and you can have a real sense of ownership in your backyard? It's about sort of people, I think, the penny dropping that, this is and can be really, really significant, and you can be part of this potentially brilliant journey on your own doorstep.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different avenues to it. The fan ownership model is the way that we're going. If you look at what's happening in football right around the world, private individuals are coming in and buying clubs as toy things, or people are buying them as multi-club models, or sovereign wealth funds are coming in and buying these clubs, and they're kind of destroying the fabric of what football was. Football was, it's a workman's game. And we are offering people an opportunity to become part owner of a football club. Ireland is actually, it's one of the few countries in Europe that has a really, it's easy relatively to qualify for Europe. There's only 20 teams in the whole country, 2 divisions, and 4 of those in the top division go into Europe each year. In the 1970s, we never finished in the bottom half of the table in the League of Ireland, and we qualified for Europe 4 times. And we were getting crowds from 5 up to 10,000 people coming to games in Finn Park back in the 70s. So it's possible. It's been done before. We believe the demand in the people in Donegal is here. I lived in London for 15 years, and pretty much every person that I met from Donegal that are living in London, they check the results every weekend.
Yep.
And the same, I lived in Australia for a couple of years as well. Like, people have an affinity towards the club. What we need to them, now we're opening up the doors to them and asking them to become part owner and come on that journey with us as well. I think
this is where the pressure, though, is on the pitch, because a lot of us, and I count myself amongst them, are often bandwagon jumpers, right?
Yeah.
And success breeds sort of success, and a promotion and being in the fight. Those Friday nights, it's a big game tonight. If we win this one, we're just 1 point away from the playoffs. The way you can sell it and phrase it and all that kind of stuff. So yes, the delivery off the pitch, but you just need a good season, a good run too, and that will do half the PR work for you, Ian.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if you look at it historically, even going back to the 70s as well, the club was literally all about the first team. I think right now it's a little bit different. We've got 11 teams that we've got, every single town in this county is represented in our football club. We've got kids from every little village. We've got an FSR, Football Social Responsibility Officer, a full-time person who's gone out into the community on a weekly basis, delivering camps, summer camps, Easter camps, Halloween camps, socially inclusive camps for people with autism and Down syndrome. We've got people, we've got schools competitions, we've got educational schools initiatives as well with Give Racism the Red Card. And we've got road safety campaigns with the Donegal County Council. So there's a lot of work being done in the community that we never really did before, and it's starting to build up that swell of support for the club. We also we've reached out to the older people in our community as well. We've got walking football and football memories. So that's people that throughout COVID, they've locked themselves away in the house. They don't really know if it's safe to come out or whatever. So we've got football playing outdoors for people, at retirement age, and that's those initiatives.
It's a lot really going on. It's a right community organisation. I don't know what this refers to, but a caller asks, what about the existing work that's being done in Stranole, or will that be part of the new structure?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, that's solid concrete. It's
right. That's what's already there. Then yes, I understand what they're referencing.
It's all like there's been a couple of million already spent on it, and that will be used. There'll be little sections of it taken down, but the 95% of it will still be used. Yeah.
All right, Ian. Where can people get more details on these vouchers? I know it's not been launched yet, but presumably the FinHarp socials and website.
Yeah, they should all be up later this morning. So you can give the gift of a football club this Christmas.
If I run for a TD, do I have to declare it?
I don't know. I don't know if you're going to.
A lot of TDs don't know that either. Right. I'm only joking. All right, take care of yourself. Thank you, Ian. That's Ian Harkin, chairman of FinHarps Football Club.
Fill your stocking this Christmas from all the great gift ideas at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, sponsors of today's 9 till noon show. See mcgees.ie or like McGee's on Facebook for a chance to win some great prizes.
Donegal Texel sheep breeders are holding a sale of 54 in-lamb ewes and 15 ewe lambs in Rafo Livestock Mart this Friday, 13th of December at 7 p.m. Online bidding via the Mart Bids app. That's this Friday at Rafo Mart.
Hello there. Christmas is the perfect time for saying thank you. And what better way than to give a Harvey's Point gift card. Available from the hotel on 07497 22208 or from harveyspoint.com. It's the gift that keeps on giving all year round. A Harvey's Point gift card.
Some years ago, I was the victim of a serious crime. The person serving a life sentence for that crime now has an opportunity to apply for parole. But I also have an opportunity to have my voice heard by the parole board.
Victims of a serious crime. Your voice counts in the parole process. Find out more and register at gov.ie/parole board or call 01 474 8770.
Give the gift of sport from Brian McCormick Sports. Precision play, the perfect gift for the young footballer. Goalposts in different sizes, matched up mannequin sets and top bin targets. Try the new skills ramp with a light up precision ball. Precision play, the perfect present for the young footballer this Christmas. bmcsports.ie for next day delivery.
Donegal at night. It's vibrant, it's diverse, it's ours. Let's be safe and sound. Whether you're out for dinner, a show, a match, or just a stroll, we all play a part in creating a safe and enjoyable atmosphere. Let's look out for each other. Keep our streets clean. Have fun. Let's keep Donegal a place where everyone feels welcome and respected. Let's be safe and sound. This ad was brought to you by Donegal County Council and is an initiative of the Buncrannon Nighttime Economy.
Get into the Christmas spirit with the help of McElhenny's department store. From the moment you walk through the door, our staff are ready to help you find everything on your list with ease. From Secret Santa presents to thoughtful gifts for all the family. Shop online now or visit us in-store to experience the true magic of Christmas at McElhenny's.
Now, just an update on that road traffic collision on the Derry Road. There is a big build-up of traffic because of that road traffic collision, we understand, involving a car and a bus. It's just after the Maharabeg National School. That's on the Derry side, so just on that corner you might be familiar with. A motorist says avoid the area for the next hour. So that came in from a listener saying avoid the area. We're waiting for official confirmation from An Garda Síochána in that regard. But that's what a listener says. Rightio, let's go back to the issue of whether or not we should be more casual with our teachers. Earn the respect in the classroom. It's not delivered through a title, some might say. Get rid of the Mr. and Mrs. and it's good old Greg. Let's see what Grania Hines thinks, because Grania has worked around the place in teaching, of course. Grania, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am good. So, I mean, obviously you're a former teacher and principal, primary, second and third level. You've done it all. And you've also worked internationally as well. What's your take on that conversation, Grania?
Well, yeah, I think you have to look at it from the age groups. You take now the nursery and primary children. They call you Miss, which is great. They learn one word, or Mr. Or in Africa, it would be auntie and uncle. They would say auntie and uncle to their teachers, which is rather nice. Mm-hmm. It's still respectful and it's still familiar. But if you have a difficult name like I have and have been taught in different places, it's very difficult for children to learn all these names of teachers. Where if they meet any teacher in the corridor, Miss, Mr, Auntie, Uncle is good. Now, I worked in an American international school in Africa, and they were into calling the teachers by their first names. So that was in secondary level. But, and I worked in Nigeria, where people are very respectful, and even if you're 1 year older than somebody, you respect them by giving them their title. So it's all different cultures, and I think I'm very disappointed in the Educate Together, which have so many cultures. And I think parents really like the teachers to be called by, at least my parent council always said they wanted to be addressed by their title, not by first names. They felt the children didn't learn respect, and they felt, and I also felt in the classroom the dynamics were different. I found that teaching where children were very familiar with you and sort of wanted to treat you really like a friend rather than somebody in charge, it was a lot more difficult for teachers. I found that teaching children who give you your respect and you were on a different level, more or less.
Yeah, well,
I'm
I
not
think,
saying you're
Grania, I was just thinking as you're speaking and listening to as you spoke, you know, say, for instance, you have children, some children would be very attentive in class and some children might be less attentive or might be play up a little bit, right? And, you know, if they're saying Grania, one might be saying Grania respectfully and another might be saying, oi, Grania, come on, move it on here. Whereas if they were saying, you know, Miss Hines or Miss or Mrs. or whatever the phraseology is, it's a leveler, isn't it? And I think it takes that, it potentially even takes that bit of play with the name out of it.
Yes, I do. And I think it also gives you that authority. The children feel, oh, you're somebody who, will look after them and has authority and can do things. But when they treat you like that and they mispronounce the names, like I've been called Granny, Grania, all sorts of names around the world. And I think it's difficult for little children particularly to, because especially Irish names aren't easy to pronounce always. And that's a little bit of extra stress for them. So I think that, and also I feel that you do earn respect. I agree with that. But I don't think that being so familiar, I mean, I know a lot of children call their parents by their first names, and that's the parents' choice, and that's good. But most children like to have a mommy and a daddy. They like Mr. and Mrs. They like auntie and uncle. These are people they feel, they are going to do something for them. That sort of feeling of confidence.
Yeah, a word that's come up an awful lot in the conversation, Granny, understandably, is respect. Now, I just feel we are losing. Like, I think if you respect someone, or if you're polite to them, or if I'm not familiar with you and I call you Miss Hines, and then it's up to you to correct me if you wish. You'd say, geez, Greg, call me Grania.
Of course.
Right?
Yes,
that doesn't mean I'm being deferential, if that's the right word. That doesn't mean that I'm necessarily elevating you and I'm subservient. What it means is that I'm offering you respect and I'm asking you to set the boundaries of what you're comfortable with. And if that goes, then what else goes? I notice on social media, people, complete strangers, just call each other every name under the sun. There's no just basic starting position of respect. And
there's no, and it also leads to teachers being called nicknames, and like derogatory or maybe upsetting to a teacher when they're referred to a certain way. And even the tone of the voice, as you say, is important in the classroom, because if you have one child disrespecting all of the class, it's like a disease. It passes from one to the other. So therefore you have to have authority. You have to have control in a classroom. Like you cannot teach, you cannot impart knowledge if you have a few disruptive pupils who are disrupting you, who don't really respect you, who think you're I won't say what.
But just in relation to that, Granny, and apologies for cutting across you, to the point though, does the title in and of itself command respect, or is it a case of, and I think we heard from Simon earlier on, whereby everyone in the classroom is equal, albeit one is a teacher and the rest are pupils. Like, simply referring to a teacher as Mr. or Mrs. does not garner respect. And even if they called the teacher Greg or Grania, you could still establish that respect, if you get where I'm coming from.
I get where you're coming from, but I still think, I thought the African culture where they call them Uncle Henry, Auntie Comfort, if they're teachers, and they called me Ma'am, which I thought was quite nice. And they were putting you on a different level, and you are on a different level. You're not on the same level as your pupils. You are there to impart knowledge. You're there to teach them about the world, how they're going to get on. Now, I can imagine if you went for an interview and you started calling the people on the board by their first names, you wouldn't get very far.
And also, throughout society, if you go into the workplace, there is going to be a line manager. There is a manager. If you're driving a car, you might encounter a guard who does, we're all equal, don't get me wrong, but they do have a level of authority over you if you are, say, for instance, breaking the law. If you go in to seek medical help, you do have someone who spent, up to 10 years learning their trade, and they do have a title. So in life, titles are everywhere, whether people choose to use them or not, and there is authority and there are structures and there is a hierarchy.
Of course there is, and I think you have to learn it in school. Now, perhaps the senior class, the last year of their school, they could perhaps, the teachers might say, well, look, now you're going into the world, you can call me by blah, blah. But I don't think it's a good thing, because they're going to face authority when they leave school. They're going to face people who actually demand respect from them. They don't think they should have to earn it. They demand it from their workers. And it's part of the world. And the world isn't all going to be chummy.
No, the
world is tough. It's tough.
And
yes,
also,
and
too, I don't think this is a big issue in and of itself, right? It's not. It's a conversational piece. But I do actually
Yes, of
think it
course.
does feed into societal changes more broadly speaking, about respecting each other, about respecting people who are older than you. You know, I think if I stand on the shoulders of people that are a generation older than me, I do believe
Of
that they
course.
do deserve more respect. Now, if they want to sort of say, don't call me that or whatever, that's fine. That's up to them. But I do think we should be respectful of each other. Like, now, when it
I
comes to
think
things
so.
like kings and queens, or whether someone's a king or a queen or a
Lady
president
and
or a
sir,
minister
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
at that point, I believe we're all equal, right? I do believe we are all equal in that regard, but that doesn't mean you can't respect someone. Okay, listen,
Exactly.
Grania,
All right.
a fascinating insight, especially given the international dynamics to where you're at. This is Educate Together have their own ethos. It works for them, and parents choose those schools. That's perfectly fine. But we're having a conversation about whether or not it should be more broadly introduced. And there's mixed views out there. I'm actually really quite pleasantly surprised that lots of people have different views on this. And I was delighted to get yours, Grania.
Oh, okay, thank
Take
you,
care.
Greg.
Goodbye. Thank you so very much. That's Grania Hines there. A couple on this before a break. I think that it is lovely when teachers are called by their first name. I know a special needs school that calls teachers by their first name. There's no confusion for the children then, and it's easy for them to remember their names. It creates a home-to-home bond, which also is a strong argument. I'm learning every day, and my view's not locked in. The caller then goes on to say, sorry, that I know other schools who call teachers by master and miss. It creates a level of authority. But is that bad? I don't know. To instill manners, we have to respect teachers, says another listener quite simply. Right, let us take a break, because then it is time for a quick update on the weather.
Think outside the box with your photos this Christmas for canvas prints, Instablocks, mugs and photo books at mcgee's.ie. McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
With MasterCard Priceless Experiences, the possibilities are endless. You could be front row, screaming every lyric. Or lost for words at the final act. Shh, sorry. Discovering new destinations. Or a land of mouth-watering flavours. So if you're a MasterCard cardholder, register at priceless.com to unlock a world of priceless experiences. From exclusive dining events to historic tours. One place, endless possibilities. Priceless.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
Tesco Club Card gives you the power to more this season. Fuel the festivities ahead with Tesco finest breakfast favourites, like 100% freshly squeezed orange juice, corn-fed eggs, Irish pork sausages, white and black pudding, and Irish dry-cured rashers, any three for €6. Helping feed your Christmas spirit. Shop in-store or online. Tesco. Every little helps. Subject to availability. Available in most stores. Prices vary in express stores. T's and C's apply. Deposit may apply. See tesco.ie.
Don't miss the best late-night Christmas entertainment at Pulse Venue Letterkenny. This Saturday night, December 14th, the David Craig Band takes to the stage. Saturday, December 21st, it's the legendary Whistling Donkeys. On St. Stephen's night, don't miss the Paul Kelly Band. Pay at the door each night and enjoy the season's biggest lineup at Pulse Venue Letterkenny.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
Now it's going to be a dry day with a mix of cloud and some sunny spells. Cold with highest temperatures of 2 to 4 degrees in light northeast breezes. Anti-choking devices donated to hundreds of schools. They have been, despite HSE advising against their use. Meals provider Lunchbag is donating LifeVac devices to schools. As I say, despite HSE advice that anti-choking devices should not be used due to a lack of research on efficacy. This life-saving gadget is here to add an extra layer of safety for thousands of children across Ireland, because keeping you safe is what we're all about, says the company. We have Mount Charles Dr. Owen Dunphy with us on the programme now. Good morning, Doctor. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning.
I've never heard of LifeVacs until I had a quick read ahead of this interview. How familiar are you with them?
Not at all, in fact. The same as yourself, I was first made aware of it through the media stories announcing that they were to be delivered to primary schools without being asked for. So, no, I hadn't heard of it before. Anti-choking devices are something that would have cropped up in my first aid training in the past, and generally with the advice that they're not to be used. So, it was a new one for me.
The problem, I think there's some great videos out there in education as to what to do if a child is choking. Is there any concern that you have? I would have a concern that you start introducing a device that not everyone might have access to, and the research on it is pretty sketchy, could in some way hamper that. You know what I mean? It's important, I think, that we all know the basics.
Absolutely. I would say first and foremost that the first aid training that anyone, I think, looking after children or in a position of supervision would receive would always prioritise things like abdominal thrusts and appropriate CPR, and that is still that's always been the guidance that we would have received as medical professionals, nurses, doctors, etc. would always have received that kind of advice, and it's effective and it does work and it does save lives. And it would be very, very important, I think, that any such device like this would not displace that kind of training, and that it wouldn't be taken as an appropriate alternative to those kind of interventions. Those kind of interventions have been the mainstay of anti-choking measures for so long because they do work and they do save lives.
Like, I'm looking at this device, I'm not sure if it's the one that's being circulated, but it's effectively like a plunger, and you put it over a child's nose and mouth and you press down and suck. Like,
exactly, that appears to be the device, and it I would say it does make some degree of sense that using that sort of suction might.
What if that
well, yes,
doesn't work?
exactly. That is the key thing, and I think one of the quotes that I've seen from the company that makes this LifeVac device is that it is intended to be used only in extreme circumstances when other measures have failed. And I think that's, I think when you're getting to the stage of someone becoming unconscious as a result of choking, you're desperate. You're looking to get the thing out of the throat as quickly as possible. You'll try anything at that point. And I think if things like back slaps and abdominal thrusts have not worked, yes, okay, let's try anything else that you might have access to. I suppose the thing that I'd have a little bit of concern over there is on the LifeVac website. It says it's proven to be the most effective way to help a child or adult during choking emergency. That does not suggest a device of last resort. That kind of language would suggest to me, I think someone who's not trained reading that would think this is the first thing to use, not this is the last thing to use.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of, I'm sure, you're probably fortunate never to have dealt with someone choking, and I've very rarely had to deal with it myself, but you're not likely to have someone sitting calmly and following instructions in that sort of emergency.
I have,
oh, very good.
Yeah, and
nice. Well,
I looked at the videos on the knee, leant forward, hand on chest, the slaps between the shoulder blades to the rear, and frankly, that did the trick. I would be concerned that instead of doing that, which was strangely, these things can be quite instinctive, would be rummaging through the drawer looking for a LifeVac and not getting down to the nitty gritty stuff. And like in the video from LifeVac, they're pulling out a little bit of cotton wool and they wonder as it appears, and also lifting. They seem to, for some reason, be lifting a bowling ball with it. You want to make sure you're doing the right thing. I don't know what impact that might have on someone's tongue or what have you, but more research, I think, definitely. I would like to see more research, Doctor, before these are introduced more widely and become the first option.
I would agree, yes, absolutely. And there has been some research done. I have had a look, since seeing this, I have had a look, and there has been some research done, and to be fair to them, it does appear that it can be helpful in removing foreign bodies. But again, I think you're dealing with a scenario of a device of last resort, not the first thing you reach for. And if you have a choking child in front of you, you don't want to be, yes, as you said, rummaging in a drawer looking for the device. It's a tendency, I think, for people when we have a device to try and use it. You know, I think if you have a handy gizmo to do a job, you'll try and use the gizmo to do the job. And in an emergency, that might be the initial instinct of someone who perhaps doesn't have the appropriate training, or someone who does have that training but isn't confident in their ability to carry out the manoeuvres. And I suppose the message I would have for people in that scenario is doing the right thing imperfectly is better than doing nothing at all. Responding rapidly to an emergency using the training that you have is better than doing nothing, and certainly better than doing something unproven that you are using for the first time. Yes. And if you're not confident in your abilities to respond to that emergency, then get the training. There's a lot of organizations, thankfully, that do formal training. As you said, you can access videos and instructions online about how to perform anti-choking maneuvers. These things are not technically difficult to do. That's not to say it's not scary in an emergency, and anyone would be forgiven for panicking in a scenario like that. But like I said, doing something is better than doing nothing. Yeah. And there are plenty of organizations available that will give appropriate instruction to anyone in a supervisory role over children. And indeed parents. And as a parent of primary school children myself, I would be far more keen to ensure that my child's teacher or supervisor has first aid training than that they have a life vac in the classroom.
Yeah, I'm watching a demonstration video here, and he's actually putting it over the child's eyes as well, because the child's head they're demonstrating on is very small. All right, Dr. Owen Dunphy, thank you so very much for your time. I really do appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. That's Dr. Owen Dunphy, a GP in Mount Charles. So maybe some of you out there have experience of the life vac. I'm not dissing the company or the product or what have you, don't get me wrong, but if it's being circulated, I just don't think it should replace the instinctive stuff, because it is in a crisis. Often, most of us, or many of us do, you sort of get instinctive, and I think that's good. And if I started rummaging around, where's the life vac? You might be somewhat disadvantaged. All right, okay, that's that. As I say, I'd be very interested in hearing any of your experiences of that. Perhaps you have used the life vac. Maybe it's been a lifesaver.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
Okie doke, another busy hour on the way, but it's time to get a news update at 11 o'clock, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Emergency services are currently at the scene of a crash between Manor Cunningham and Newton Cunningham. A car and a bus carrying 13 passengers collided at around 9:30 this morning near Maharabeg National School. It's understood a number of people have been injured, but none of the injuries are believed to be life-threatening. The road is closed and diversions are in place. Both the Taoiseach and Taoiseach are refusing to say which of them expects to be the leader of the new government by January. Talks on forming a new government will continue today, with independents the frontrunners to add up the numbers. Senior ministers are holding their first cabinet meeting since the general election this morning. Meanwhile, there's calls for suspended Social Democrats TD Owen Hayes to resign his Dáil seat. The newly elected deputy was suspended from the party yesterday after it emerged he lied about when he sold valuable shares in a company which provides software services to the Israeli Defence Forces. Experts say a national plan is needed to prevent homes being lost to coastal erosion. A new report from the journal Investigates, which found 5 councils are still allowing residential and commercial premises to be built on erosion hotspots. A study into the risk of erosion was promised in Inishowen 5 years ago, with members of the local municipal district now calling for a report into its findings. Contracts have been signed to deliver almost 70 new social homes in Donegal. 21 social houses are planned for Barrackhill, Carndonagh, 10 at Carnroe, Glen Ely, while contracts for a turnkey acquisition of 35 social housing units at Drumrusk West, Donegal Town have also been signed. In addition, contracts are due to be signed in the coming weeks to deliver 9 properties in Malin. Gardaí still have a number of hours to question a woman about the murder of Kyran Durnan. The boy from Dundalk in County Louth was reported missing last August, but Gardaí believe he was murdered in May or June of 2022. A woman in her 20s was detained in County Louth yesterday. She was known to Kyran and reportedly recently arrived back in Ireland by ferry. And police in Derry are treating a car fire in Kavanagh Court last night as arson. Shortly after 11 o'clock, fire service personnel reported they were responding to a car fire which they believe was deliberately started. No injuries were reported, and police are urging witnesses or anyone with information to come forward. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
OK, thank you very much, Michaela. We're going to take a break. Stay where you are.
Chanel, Flowerbomb, Lancôme, Giorgio Armani, Paco Rabanne. Where else but at McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny, this Christmas. Sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
Looking for the perfect spot to celebrate Christmas lunch? Join us at the ESIS Centre, Air Code F93 F104 for a festive Christmas lunch. Celebrate the season in our special surroundings. A delicious 3-course Christmas lunch plus tea and coffee, serving on Thursday and Friday the 12th and 13th. Bring family, friends, colleagues and the holiday spirit. Book your table today on 07493 848866. That's the ESIS Centre for your Christmas lunch.
I am the storm that pounds for hours, for days on one side of your head. I am your migraine. Light blinds. Sound pierces. You can't escape my nausea. If you've lived with me for years, talking to your doctor may help. Learn more at migraineaware.ie, brought to you by Pfizer Healthcare Ireland.
Get into the festive spirit with amazing Christmas value at Aldi. We have a full range of 100% Irish and Board Bia quality assured turkeys in store from December 20th. Slow-grown bronze whole turkeys reared in County Monaghan. A range of fresh turkey crowns. And Butcher's Selection whole turkeys, starting from just $8.99 to give you the best value this Christmas. Aldi, have a cracking Christmas while stocks last.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments present The High Kings, one of Ireland's favourite folk groups, live on their new Step It Out tour at Belfast Waterfront Hall on the 3rd of January and Derry's Millennium Forum on the 7th and 8th of January. Tickets on sale from venue box offices and websites.
Connect Hearing is open for free hearing tests. Our audiologist is available Monday to Friday for wax removal services at our Letterkenny clinic in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. We also offer a home visit for those who aren't able to visit us. Our hearing is our social sense. Are you finding hearing more of a challenge? Call Ursula today on 07491 13296 to make an appointment. Good hearing helps us to connect to our family, friends and loved ones. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Are you looking for fresh, local and convenient shopping this Christmas? Maple stores are here for you all across Donegal. From Burtonport to Ballyliffin, Carrigart to Castlefin and everywhere in between. We're open throughout Christmas for all your needs, making sure you never run out of the essentials. For our Christmas opening hours and fantastic festive deals, visit your local Maple store on Facebook. And yes, we also sell fuel too. From all of us at Maple Stores, have a happy Christmas. Maple Stores. Fresh, convenient, local.
At Energy, we've already shaken up the energy market with the really simple offer, Ireland's cheapest electricity. Now we're shaking it up again with another simple offer, Ireland's cheapest electricity and gas. So the choice is simple. Get Ireland's cheapest dual fuel deal at unoenergy.ie and save up to €900 a year on your energy. With Energy, you just know. Energy discount fixed smart dual fuel rate EAB €2353. For T's and C's, rates and savings calculations, see unoenergy.ie. Suppliers' pricing may change.
All right, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Anne joins me on the show now. Hi, Anne. Good morning to you. Thanks for taking the time to speak to me.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Anne. What happened in your household or in your family?
Well, I just hope I'm not just taking or wasting air time, but just an incident happened last night which my daughter's son, he's my wee grandson, he's 8 years old.
Yeah.
My daughter was cleaning his ear, just the inner part, not anywhere near the eardrum, just, was cleaning inside the ear. But the wee fella slipped, which meant the Q-tip went in further into his eardrum.
Mm.
And then it started bleeding quite heavily. So she rang Now Doc. This was at 6:30 yesterday evening. She rang Now Doc at 6:30, and she got an appointment to bring him down at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
When she got down to Now Doc, the doctor looked at his ear and says his eardrum was perforated, but that he didn't have the instruments to clean it out to see the extent of the damage.
Oh, really?
Now, this is our out of service, doctors, whatever. And I just find it unbelievable that an Now Doc don't have something to clean out a child's ear that has a perforated eardrum.
Mm.
He was told to bring him home and go to the GP today. Now, my point is, if a GP has an instrument to clean out an ear, like Now Doc are our next port of call after, the doctors are all closed. Like, why have Now Doc not got this instrument? And I mean, I haven't got a medical background.
Yeah, and I presume too, a long night too, worrying about his time of the essence. Could any damage be done to his hearing?
Well, this is
you were left with a lot of unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, like, she was up, 2 or 3 times during the night, checking to see if his ear was bleeding. And it has started to bleed again. But I just find it unbelievable. I mean, to clean out an ear, I mean, can I not do it with a bit of gauze or a bit of cotton wool or, what instrument do they need to clean out blood to see the extent of damage?
Yeah.
I know everybody Googles, perforated eardrums and all the rest, which I did myself because I was really concerned.
Well, you get the worst case scenarios on Google, don't you? They don't do anything to make you feel any comfort. It's like,
I know. I completely understand that, but I mean, like, I would worry about his hearing. I mean, he's in great form, but I mean, at 8 years old, like, he found this thing in his ear, and then when he put his hand up and saw the blood, like, it freaked him out.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, we hear it all the time on the show. If anything happens outside of doctor's hours, don't be going to A&E. Go to Now Doc. That's your first port of call.
For sure, yeah.
Now, A&E wasn't mentioned. Joe, it was just go to your GP tomorrow. I don't have the instrument to have a further look. I don't have the instrument to clean out his ear.
It does seem strange. Did he get to the doctors? Is he all right?
No, he can't get an appointment till the afternoon.
Okay, that's another problem. Okay. You were going to say a little earlier on that you don't have a medical background, but I'm sorry, I wanted to ask you about the thing overnight, but I think you made that point in any case. And the question you're asking is it acceptable that an out-of-hours service is evidently, from your experience, poorly equipped?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's very simple. To me, I always imagined that Now Doc was more or less the same as a doctor's surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So this instrument that they were talking about, surely to God, an Now Doc facility should have it if a doctor's dispensary has it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, good point. We're going to make some inquiries and to find out what the story was. Was it an isolated incident or is this type of stuff not done? Because I think it's good to get that information out to the public. I've had young fellas with perforated eardrums and it doesn't affect their hearing and they're fine. But you want to hear that from a GP, not a GH.
That's right.
But listen,
well, no, I'll take your word as well, Greg.
Yeah, no, it was all right. I'll tell you something. You know what? It was actually an awful situation, Anne, because he was prone to. This is not Hudson. He's prone to ear infections, and his ear was really, really sore, and I still feel bad to this day, right? And I put eardrops in his ear, and he screamed the house down. And as it turned out, he had a perforated eardrum, and I had made it worse, and I felt so bad about it. But anyway, not the case with your young grandson.
As well, like, when children are so young, they remember these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's all. I just wanted to get it off my chest.
No,
and just,
it's off.
It's
a good point.
Out there,
it's
probably very trivial, but I just wanted to get it off my chest and I just think it's unbelievable to me.
Yep.
You know, like she's awake all night, couldn't sleep a wink.
No, I wouldn't have slept.
Worrying about the wee fella. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wouldn't have slept.
So that's all I wanted to say, Greg.
And lovely stuff. Thanks so much. Well said. Thank you indeed. We'll check that out. And if any of you had, any similar experiences, please let us know. Right, I'm joined now by Tracy O'Carroll, who is HICWA Deputy Director of the National Care Experience Programme. Tracy, thanks for joining us. I appreciate your time.
Good morning, Greg. Delighted to be here.
Before we get to the findings of it, and I think we spoke to you in advance of people receiving the invitation to be involved in this, what is the National Inpatient Experience? Who was surveyed? What period does it cover?
Okay, so the National Inpatient Experience Survey, it's a national survey. It's run by a partnership, which is the Health Information and Quality Authority, who regulate health and social care services in addition to setting national standards and work around health information, and the Health Service Executive, who run our hospitals, and the Department of Health, who are responsible for our policy and legislation. And that's why this partnership is so important, because everybody takes this data and uses it within their own remit. So what we did was in May of this year, 2024, we invited everybody who was discharged during that month to tell us about their experience. And that was over 30,000 people in total. And of those, nearly 12,500 people responded to our survey. And we're very grateful, and we'd like to thank each of them. And they're from around 40 public acute hospitals around the country. And one of those would be Letterkenny. Mm-hmm. And from Letterkenny, we received 367 responses out of, we just invited over 1,000 people. So
38%.
Slightly smaller
terrible.
rate than the national. Yeah, 38%.
Before we dig into the details, how representative do you think this is? Do you factor in those that are more likely or less likely, dependent on their experience, to fill out these forms, or do you get the impression, having done this year and previous years, Tracy, that of those that respond, it is a cross section of people and various experiences?
That's a really interesting question that you ask, Greg, because we've been asking ourselves that. So this is the first year we've applied what we call the Public HP Deprivation Index. And basically what they've done is they've categorised the country and different areas that we all live in into 8 different kind of categories. And it's from very disadvantaged to very advantaged. So we matched those kind of categories against the responses and their, experience levels. And what we found is that people from more disadvantaged areas have better experience than people from from more advantaged areas, I guess. And the reason being that they said that the hospital staff introduced themselves, that they were offered their dietary needs in terms of food, and that they've been involved more so in decisions about their care. But we did also notice that we kind of have a smaller response rate from those from more disadvantaged areas. So we're working with Professor Chris Noon in Galway University, and we got a grant from the Health Research Board, and we're looking at how we can make sure that we have a more kind of inclusive survey that all sectors of society respond to us. So hopefully the next time we run this survey, we'll be able to reflect the findings from that grant.
And before we get to some of the findings, how is Letterkenny University Hospital categorised in terms of area?
It's not even just the university; it's where different people live.
I get you. Understood.
So it's across Donegal and
right.
Dublin and wherever Galway.
Understood.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, listen though, 367 out of 1,000, 38%. It's not insignificant. It's well above any poll you might see for a general election or other. And I welcome this because, as you might know, Tracy, we get contacted by people who have poor experiences, as you can imagine. Do you know what I mean? That's what happens. We get contacts from people who have good experiences, but I think you're more motivated to sort of try and raise an issue if it's poor. And we always say, the staff in the hospital and all are doing their best, and it's not reflective of everyone's experience. But I appreciate a survey like this that maybe gives us a broader picture of the hard work of the staff down there and a broader impression of people's experience. And for the most part, almost 8 out of 10 who were admitted to Letterkenny University Hospital said they had a very good overall experience.
Mm. Yeah, so what this survey does, it asks, just so your listeners know, it asks kind of 52 questions, and we look at the experience across from entering the hospital, around admission, around the ward, tests and operations, and when you leave the hospital. And we also have 3 open-ended questions at the end, and it was what was good and what can be improved, and if there was any other comments. And yes, you're right. What was interesting there is, like, in those last 3 comments, people can write as much or as little as they want. And we had 615 comments, and of those, nearly 200 were positive about the hospital staff. So people very much see and reflect and appreciate the work of the hospital staff. But it's kind of more the environments, like the emergency environment and the physical environments that they kind of comment on, and they'd like to see improvements in.
And it is a mixed bag. As I mentioned, 79% of people who admitted to LUH said they had a very good overall experience, compared to 85% nationally. Care on the ward was the stage of care with the highest scores, with 74% of people saying that the hospital room or ward where they stayed was very clean. But the overall rating of care experience for Letterkenny University Hospital was significantly lower than the national average. I mean, your position, are you comfortable with me asking what conclusions you draw from that, Tracy?
I suppose our job is to provide this opportunity for the people who use the services to feed back to us. And then our job, as part of that partnership I mentioned at the outset, is we feed this back not just to each of the hospitals. So Letterkenny has seen all those 615 comments. They've seen the 367 kind of overall responses. And they've decided, based on that, what is best to do and what improvements are needed to improve that experience overall. So they've put out an action plan, and that action plan can be found on our website, www.yourexperience.ie. So we have, Letterkenny's report and their action plan in addition to the national report. And in terms of nationally, the HSE have seen this. HICWA, we've seen this, and we reflect in our standards how we, what we need to do around standards to make sure that, we reflect the findings. And the Department for Health see it, so they include it in kind of their policies and their strategies. So everybody very much does use these responses, and we can see from the discharge and transfer area, which was traditionally the very weakest area, but all the hospitals across the country have done huge work to kind of improve this and let people know when they're going home and what to expect when they're going home and what to have in place. And we can see that improving over time based on all the work that is happening across the hospitals. So it does really make a difference. Yeah,
and it does pick up a lot of the concerns that we get here. Scores for admissions and overall care experience were lower in 2024 compared to 2022. In terms of local figures here, the figure for waiting 12 to 24 hours higher in Letterkenny at 35.9% compared to 26.6 nationally. I suppose really some of it's reaffirming what we know. Tracy, whose responsibility is it to try and improve where there are gaps? Is it local management? Is it Cialta? Is it the Department of Health? It's good to know this information. A lot of it, as I say, reaffirms what we already know. Now we want to know what happens next. So what would you hope happens from here?
So, as I said, the Letterkenny local management, as you say, have developed their own action plan based on that. It will be looked at from a sales perspective from the regional executive office. And then we will be running the survey again, and we can see if those improvements have taken place, and it will be reflected in people's responses.
Just in relation to that, I'm not sure if this question will make sense in the context of the survey. If patients who asked for personal feedback, will they receive it? I had issues which I described in the survey, and I would appreciate a follow-up.
We anonymise every response we get, so we don't keep people's personal data. But if anybody had given us any issues of concern, we do bring it to HICWA's information division, and if they want us to take anything further, if they want to give HICWA a call, we can take it, or your service, your say in the HSE will also respond to them.
Tracy, thank you for your time today. I do appreciate it.
Super. Thank you very much.
Tracy O'Carroll, she is HICWA Deputy Director of the National Care Experience Programme. So as I say, it's a mixed bag for Letterkenny University Hospital. I'll run down some of the key findings here. 79% of survey participants who were admitted to Letterkenny University Hospital said that they had a good to very good experience in hospital. Now, I'm not sure how many of those went in through the back of an ambulance or spent 16 hours in the ED, for an example. Of the 970 people admitted to Letterkenny University Hospital over the survey period, 38% of you responded. As I mentioned, 79% said their experience was good to very good overall, but that compares to 85% nationally, so that's 6% lower than the national figure. Care on the ward was the stage of care with the highest scores. 74% of people saying that the hospital room or ward they stayed in was very clean. The overall rating of care experience for Letterkenny University Hospital was significantly lower than the national average, though. In terms of how long you were waiting to get into the hospital nationally, 27.4% of people waited less than 6 hours for admission at the ED. That figure was 17.8% in Letterkenny, so much lower. The percentage of people who waited between 6 and 12 hours, 32.6%, both nationally and in Letterkenny. And here's where's the concerning variance. The figure for waiting 12 to 24 hours for admission was higher in Letterkenny, 35.9%. That's double the national average, if my maths is correct, 26.6%. But the positive elements in Letterkenny included food, and areas for improvement included, so the food got good ratings. Areas for improvement included clear answers from doctors in the emergency department and on the ward. Again, that's something we get on this show all of the time, and it can be for different reasons. But what needs improvement is clear answers from doctors in the ED and on the ward, and patient confidence and trust in hospital staff also needs to be worked on. So there are positives there, but still a great deal of work. We disimproved the score for admissions overall. Was lower in 24 compared to 2022, which again is something that needs to be addressed.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
Hugo Boss, Victor and Rolf, Dior, Marc Jacobs and Carolina Herrera. Where else but at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, where you'll find the biggest names in perfume and aftershave this Christmas. Sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
Bridgend Bureau de Change is now open at Rafferty's Circle K Station, Bridgend. For all your euros, sterling and dollars, contact Bridgend Bureau de Change at Circle K Bridgend. Planning cross-border shopping this Christmas? Call into Circle K Bridgend Bureau de Change for all your currency needs. Authorised and regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Oh, would you believe I'm phoning this radio ad in from my Christmas sea swim? I'm calling from my smartwatch because only Vodafone's one number keeps my smartwatch connected without my phone nearby. So I've got a connection I can always rely on everywhere. Okay, here we go. Feel that freedom! Only with Vodafone one number! Whew.
This Christmas, get an Apple Watch Series 10 with one number connectivity for just €27 a month. Pop in store for more. Vodafone. Together we can.
Offer ends December 31st, 2024. Compatible powered on smartphone, smartwatch and 24-month contract required. Eligibility, limitations and terms apply. See vodafone.ie/terms.
At Centra, Ireland's largest off-licence, we carry an extensive range of the finest fizz, quality craft beers, luxury wines and top-shelf tipples. Get great offers on the fancy drinks to treat your guests without the fancy price tag. Centra. Live every day. Enjoy alcohol sensibly.
Discover the ultimate escape at the Spa at Orchids, the Holyrood Hotel, Bundoran, nominated for Spa Experience of the Year 2024 by the Irish Hotel Awards. Indulge in an oriental bamboo massage, reflexology, or choose from our signature therapies, skin glowing facials and invigorating body treatments. Couples can unwind together in twin treatment rooms or share a peaceful moment in the secret garden with outdoor hot tub. The Spa at Orchids, open daily. To buy a gift voucher or reserve your appointment, visit holyroodhotel.com.
Is féidir le drogaí áine sa dul a bhaid mar tar bheala éagsúla, ach cuireann siad ar fad isteachart agus túig tomaint. Is féidir le roinnt drogaí tú bhfuilliú, rud a ágan bhfuil buailán go nginine tú botún.
Cuireann drogaí eile farragar tí bhíor don ruistíortha. Bhín tú ag tomaint ruisciúpaí
Má bhín tú ag tomaint faoi cheannachar drogaí is féidir leis tusa do chuid passionairí agus daoine eile ar a móthar a chur a míl. Ná tomaint faoi cheannachar drogaí go brach, ónúidir as umhaváilteocht ar bmhóthire. Tuaircuairt ar rsa.ie.
Shekalatha ama Highland Radio. Arna Dortugad ag Airgrid. Uproar agus Forbor an go letrahas na Héireann. Airgrid. Pobal a guachtu, era a guachtu.
26 minutes past 11 now. Some calls coming in here. What about all the years of abuse of children by people in authority who were given respect and not questioned? It's an interesting point, and it did cross my mind during that conversation, but I didn't know how to articulate it in a useful way. Talking about respect, how do you get people to join the army? I don't know. Another, I believe they all deserve respect too, and kids are difficult to keep in line these days, but never hear a sport coach addressed formally their skills and approach with kids earn respect. That's also a very interesting point there. I'm a 43-year-old male and I still call my ex-teacher sir, miss when I meet them. It's respect. I do too, actually, funny enough. What about the F word and respect? When people start using this in a conversation with me, I feel so disrespected. Yeah, that's a broader conversation, all right. In my national school 60 years ago, my teachers were ladies. To this day, I do not know what their first names were. They were all called Miss, even married women. I think it should remain that way. But I was so naive to some extent. I genuinely, it was really quite late in life. I might misremember it, but it was definitely, I was at least 8. And I was in school and I was asked my parents' name and I did call them by mum and dad. I didn't know their actual names or wasn't conscious of them. There was nobody ever christened Miss or Mr. Another, I think that we teach children to use Mr. and Miss. It teaches them to have respect. Another, I'm very thankful that we don't live in a world anymore where we use Mr. or Miss. Respect is earned, not demanded. Another, I think that it's very sad if we lose the titles of Miss and Mr. I was a lifeguard and it really annoyed me that parents used me as the big bad man to scare children to behave. I wasn't a big bad man. I was actually doing an important job. We need to stand up for our rights, mannerisms, respect and faith. The woke brigade are going to ruin respect. And that always reminds me of Garda Grania was in one day, and it was said in jest, it wasn't said with any degree of seriousness, is that we as parents should stop threatening young children with the guards. You know what I mean? Put your seatbelt on or the guards will come, or stop playing acting or the guards will come, because it sort of builds into them, I don't know exactly how she phrased it, a fear, or it might discourage them from joining the force down the line or what have you. So I thought that was an interesting comment, and I actually have had taken that on board. Just one announcement before a quick break, and then I'll have Chris Ashmore here with Business Matters. There's a Red Cross drop-in clinic. Please note that a Red Cross drop-in clinic will be taking place this evening from 6:30pm to 7:30pm. It's at the Community Links Hub, Main Street, Creasla. The clinic will provide important information regarding the Creasla Community Grant Scheme. Whether you're interested in applying or just want to learn more about the scheme, this is a great opportunity to seek advice. Now, I just also want to mention briefly that there are still 9 chances to win our mega car draw. It's day 3 of a €1,000 a day giveaway, so stay tuned because it's around the Northwest's turn. John Breslin will be drawing out a ticket a little later on, and that person will win €1,000. If you haven't already got your tickets, you can go to highlandradio.com now. Lines will close for today's draw at 12:30pm, so you just have 1 hour. And once you have your tickets, you are automatically entered into all the cash draws, and of course the big draw for the Toyota Yaris Cross, worth over 30k on this show on December 23rd. So to buy a ticket, simply go onto the website highlandradio.com and click on Win a Car, or you can give us a call here at the radio station 07491 25000, or indeed you can call up with your cash if you wish. Now, a ticket's €15. Please only buy a ticket if you have the money, and you can have a bit of fun with it, because that's what it's all about. For some, it might not be this draw. You'll have the money for the next. Or you can get 5 for 50 if you want to gift them out. You have 5 chances then to win. But we've got 9 draws, 8 €1,000. Another one on the Northwest Today show. No, it's called Around the Northwest. It's with John Breslin, and then the car on this show. Right, quick break, then Chris Ashmore joins me with Business Matters News.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, with all your perfume and aftershave presents this Christmas delivered to your door, or order online and collect in store. Visit mcgees.ie.
Gallon's Bar Ballybuffet, Donegal's go-to spot for live sports and entertainment. With a light licence every Friday and Saturday, we'll keep you dancing until 2:30 all year round. Do you have a special occasion coming up? A birthday, wedding day too, or an anniversary? At Gallon's Bar, we cater for them all. Up to 150 people. Now taking bookings for 2025. Get in touch on social media or call Gallon's Bar Ballybuffet on 074 971 5064 to book.
Throbbing head, sore back, the aches and pains of cold and flu. No one pain is the same. But for all those everyday pains, there's a moment when you start to feel release. That moment when you start to get back to being you, and you feels amazing. Panadol Extra film-coated tablets, powerful pain relief. Release starts here. Contains paracetamol. Always read the label, leaflet.
It's not just that Sammy has had his world torn apart by the conflict. It's not just that he has lost everyone that he ever loved. And it's not just that Sammy is only 7 years old. Right now, children are being forced to live through unimaginable horrors in Gaza and around the world. And it's not just. This Christmas, your help could make all the difference. Visit trocra.org or call 1-800-408-408. Trocra. Together for a just world.
Tommy Fleming returns to the Millennium Forum Derry as part of his nationwide tour on Saturday the 22nd of February. Tickets £35 from Millennium Forum box office 0287 126 4455. A night of Irish, folk and contemporary classics. Tickets make the ideal Christmas gift.
Get a grip on pitch with a pair of True Socks, the original premium grip sock. Grip socks matched up with footless socks in many colour options at Brian McCormick Sports. Football boots from Adidas and Puma. Save up to 30% on kids' boots this Christmas. Football gloves and accessories for all ages. Christmas gift ideas at bmcsports.ie with next day delivery.
Business Matters on Highland Radio is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Donegal. If you have an idea to start or grow your business within Donegal, contact the Local Enterprise Office to find out more about the supports available for businesses. See localenterprise.ie/Donegal.
Okay, good afternoon, Chris Ashmore.
Hello, Greg Hughes.
How are you getting on?
Very good.
There'll be no Business Matters chat this day 2 weeks because it's Christmas Day, isn't it?
Yes.
This day 2 weeks.
This day 2 weeks. But we won't have it, but the programme will still be on that Sunday in the podcast. So
just don't stop. But we won't be having a chat. I'll mention it, of course, on the Monday and Tuesday in advance. Right, so the podcast for today is out there live now. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But firstly, I want some news from you, Chris. The annual Donegal Enterprise Awards.
Yes.
They've taken place, have they?
Yeah, last Friday afternoon, Rockhill House. So just to list some of the big achievements there, New Kid Coffee won the Digital Award. Feed Pods, the winner of the Innovation category. Cathal Sheridan of Huku Balance won the Sustainability Award. The Export Award went to the Institute of Study Abroad Ireland, and Killybegs Energy won the Best Startup, while Seabound Energy won the Best Established Business and will now represent Donegal in the National Enterprise Finals for 2025, so good luck to them. And finally, Larissa Feeney of Kinore, who we've featured on the programme in the past, well, she received the inaugural Outstanding Achievement Award. And if you go to the Local Enterprise Office social media platforms, lots of photos and more details, and a good afternoon for all, and well done indeed.
Now, I'm lucky, but I'm also a bit of a hero because I can't remember the last time I took a sick day. Certainly none this year or last, and even when I got to COVID, I did the show from home. So I pretty much am a hero. Is that reflected in a business? I hope this is not a very serious report, and I've just completely messed it up.
Well, the Business Post has a report this week that there is concern amongst many business leaders that there's a rise in sick days, and it's becoming a cost issue for some businesses. Number of factors here, Greg: aging workforces, older people tend to get sicker. More awareness of stress and mental health among younger generations. So these are being blamed as the main issues that are leading to this. And some businesses, if things are tight and there's been an increase there, it is a cost. So it'll be interesting to see if over time whether we have any trends emerging there.
I wonder, does that feed into conversations we've been having about resilience as well? Is the undertone too that maybe that people could go to work but don't?
Well, I don't know, but there certainly could be something in that. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
I didn't know we had our first professional golfer, which is great. Our first women's professional golfer. Do we have a men's professional golfer?
There are a number around the county who are attached to clubs and help out like that.
The club pro.
Yeah, the club pro.
All right, Donegal's first women professional golfer.
Yeah, now Gemma McClenaghan, who's attached to Greencastle Golf Club, she's been involved in a programme called Get Into Golf. Golf Ireland are backing this, and it's to encourage women to take up golf, and it's been very successful. 117 clubs around the country have taken part. She's run the courses up here, and of course for golf clubs, if you've more people playing, yes, there's the health benefits, but it's actually more business as well, and ticks all the boxes. So good to see that happening, and it's, as I say, a national initiative, and seems to be going very well indeed.
Right, Christmas scams. We've been trying to highlight them as many as we can. My phone's inundated with them. I could probably do 3 an hour at this point.
Yeah. And the chief ones seem to be this year the banks or delivery firms or utility companies. Now, a couple of websites that are very handy for checking out. One is scamadvisor.com, and there's an Irish one, fraudsmart.ie. And if you go into that, quite often it can help you. It was set up by the Banking and Payments Federation Ireland, and it's supported by the banks and whatever. And you can go in, put in some details, and it can point you in the direction. But
it's a case of taking the moment to think, because
exactly
one of the biggest deliverers of stuff at the moment is Amazon. Amazon is sending out an awful lot of legitimate messages saying because of Storm Dara and infrastructural problems that post is delayed. I'm sure there's people listening who've got those messages from Amazon. And then you get a text purporting to be from Amazon, and you're waiting on a parcel and it says we tried to deliver it. And I think it's taking the moment, and this is where the problem is, it's taking the moment to stop panicking and responding to that, and then switch to a website to check it.
Yeah.
Because we're moving so quickly in our minds and our thoughts and stuff. But those
no, by way of example, I know somebody who was actually at a BankLink machine getting out money, and they got a note on their phone, an alert, something similar to what you'd said in relation to delivery. And because they were in the middle of getting money out of the ATM and they were under pressure, they went and clicked a link. And that's where they didn't take the time.
And another one, so just a reminder of that scam. It's a clever one. It's about a free upgrade of your phone. They'll call you. They'll say you're from your network provider. They're on the phone company's website, and they'll say, we're sending an authentication or a code to you right now. They put your phone number in, hit reset password. That does send an official message to the person who's on the call. Oh, I've got that now. And so it goes. It's another level of scam. So please, no one's ringing you, offering you free upgrades. It is a scam. Let's go to the Century Complex in Letterkenny. I'm hearing amazing things about this, Chris. Talk to me about what's coming up in the podcast today.
Right. Well, Mark Doherty, owner of the Century Complex in Letterkenny. Now, in addition to the multi-screen cinema, which many of us are aware of, there's also the indoor Century play area for kids, and they've just opened a new indoor crazy golf area. There's reality darts, shuffleboards, much more, including, of course, the backstage restaurant. There's Bider's Corner Bar, and they also have corporate facilities. Lots going on down there. A big employer as well, over 100 people between part-time and full-time. So I paid a visit to the complex to get shown around all that they have, and Mark explained to me the various developments, and we had a look at how the whole cinema industry and cinema experience has evolved over the decades.
It's going since 1935 in the Port Road, traditional country town one-screen cinema. I believe they twinned it in sort of late 70s, early 80s. Third screen was added late 80s, fourth screen early 90s, and then we made the jump from the Port Road 2001 to the current location. People would know it. We opened in 2001 July, I believe it was, with 6 screens. And then 2004, 2005, we added 2 more, brought it up to 8. We then opened a short-lived ice rink for a number of years, if people may remember that. And then we opened the restaurant, backstage restaurant and soft play. We opened that in, when was that, 2016, November 2016 we opened that, I believe. And now we're opening the latest extension with all the other activities. I remember originally when I started in the Port Road, I think there were 5 of us. Again, of an older generation, they'll remember, Mr. Tommy Mullen, who was the manager when I came. They'll remember Bida Collins, who was one of the ushers. They'll remember Sis McGavigan, who was the cashier. So they'll remember those people. At the minute, I think we'll be setting about 110, 115 between part-time and full-time. So it's quite a number. It's quite a number of people.
Yeah, it's really significant, and both you and I attend the cinema, Chris, but I'm not a cinema goer as such. I couldn't state that I am, but I've been to Century Cinemas many times, and the cinema was once or twice. It's about sort of having a different product, isn't it? That appeals to the masses. So a good chat. What else is in that conversation?
Yeah, we looked at all sorts of things. The growth of kids' films. You have kiddie clubs, and particularly Saturday mornings, online bookings. I mean, most people are booking online to go to the cinema. The changing technology. Mark himself remembers he was changing the reels, and you had the projectionist in each screen. It's now all downloaded. Yeah. It's huge changes there. And just looking at the overall business climate here in Donegal, he's very upbeat about the future, and again, stressing this is a very good place to live. When you compare us with so many places around the world, it's easy to crib about things, but
there's great facilities.
The grass is greener on the other side. We live in a...
I don't believe that, actually. I think the grass is green on this side, bar a few tinkering around the edges. I remember back in the day in a cinema where boobs and bums in films were obscured by the projector operator's finger. I'm sure that never happened in Mark's time, because the big city of Letterkenny could cope with it, right? But we were out in the sticks. Right, that's...
And you're old enough to remember Pearl and Dean.
No.
The adverts with the famous music.
No, I'm not old that
of
old.
course you went to the cinema and it was black and white still on.
That's right, indeed. Pathé News, loved it. Loved depressing, but good to be able to see the moving pictures. Right, and we love the cinema still in Ireland.
Yeah, along with France, we are the nation with the most cinema goers. Now, I wonder, is the climate something to do with it? Because but then when we say France is a pretty good climate, most of France, so I'm not sure why the French go so much. But
in terms of our alternatives, say for instance to socialising, dates, celebrations, we don't have an awful lot of options outside the pub, and some people don't want to have those in a pub. Yeah. So it is, maybe other countries have greater alternatives, and it could be a theme park or something, I don't know, with the weather. But I can see why the cinema is seen as an alternative to going out for having something that's got booze around it, because a lot of people, as I say, don't want that.
And as Mark, and we've heard of this cinema experience, and when you go to the cinema now, it's not just going to see the film, there's more to it, and you can tie in, you can have a meal beforehand, and lots of options. It is getting more luxurious, and he also made the point, unlike a lot of other countries in Europe where smaller towns have lost their cinemas. Look at Donegal, we've got Lifford, we've got Bundoran, we've got Letterkenny. We're pretty well served, and multi-screen cinemas. Plenty of choice out there.
So close to having one in Donegal town, but it didn't transpire. Right, so the full interview with Mark is in that podcast, which is available for you right now on our website. It's always there for you in the listen back section. It'll be in the news feed for a little while too, until that's fully repopulated. And if you want to listen to the show Sunday as usual, Chris.
That's right, Greg. After the 6 o'clock news on Sunday, you'll hear all about Mark Darley and Century Complex.
And if anyone wants to get in contact with you?
The email address is best, and it's businessmatters@highlandradio.com.
All right, Chris, see you next Wednesday.
Thank
Back
you.
with more after the break.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time, visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of today's 9 till noon show.
The world awaits you. Make that dream your next adventure. Cruise the Caribbean. Sail from Crete to Corsica. Soak in Santorini sunsets. Dine on the shores of the Indian Ocean. Stroll through cobbled streets for hidden gems, or bring the little ones to a magical wonderland. Trust the award-winning Atlantic Travel to guide your next adventure. Step through our doorway to the world. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
Introducing Flow for Men, my new fragrance collection of products created to keep you feeling fresh and looking sharp. The ideal gift for the man in your life. Find Flow in pharmacies nationwide or online at flowbybo.com. Start every day with confidence.
Hake and Dublin Bay prawn chowder. Grilled trout with pak choy. This Christmas, add a fresh idea to any table with Irish seafood, like organic smoked salmon or fresh Irish oysters. For starters or for mains, weekday dishes or weekend treat. Irish seafood is available in your local fishmonger or supermarket. It's easy to prepare and it adds variety to your festive meals. Enjoy the best that our fishermen bring ashore. And for great Irish seafood recipes, visit boardbia.ie/fish.
Joe Gallagher Entertainments presents Europe's #1 tribute to Johnny Cash. Clive John brings the Johnny Cash Roadshow with special guest Trevor Smith and his tribute to Garth Brooks to the Mount Errigal Hotel, Letterkenny on Saturday the 22nd of March. A fast-paced, energetic two-band show playing all the hits of the legend that was Johnny Cash and Garth Brooks on one stage. Tickets on sale now from hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie.
TFI Christmas, that means thank Festive it's Christmas with Transport for Ireland. Because if you're heading out to go shopping, celebrating or seeing Santa himself, public transport is a great way to get there, with more services than ever before throughout the festive season. Remember, you can use your TFI Leap card for lower fares, and the TFI Live app lets you plan every journey. So thank Festive it's there, and think TFI for all your festive journeys this year. For Christmas service information, visit transportforireland.ie.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Find the perfect present for everyone on your list this festive season. Discover the joy of gifting and make Christmas magical with McElhenney's Ballybuffet. Visit us in-store or online at mcelhenneys.com.
So, some fog and mist might be stubborn to clear today, but otherwise it'll be dry with a mix of cloud and some sunny spells. Cold with highest temperatures of 2 to 4 degrees in light northeast breezes. I just want to mention that the winner of today's competition, thanks to our friends at McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny and on the web at mcgees.ie, is James Convey from Castle Garden, Stranooler. Well done to you, James. You have won a 50ml Chanel Chance EDP spray, designed for women, but if you want to splash it on yourself, feel free to do so. And you're also now in the draw with a 1 in 5 chance of winning our hamper worth over €500. It's a Lancome Christmas hamper, thanks to our friends again at McGee's Chemist. Right, Chris Arthurs is PRO of the Northwest Road Safety Partnership. Good morning to you, Chris. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
It's good to have you on your programme. Good to have you on the programme, should I say. Right, okay. A new poster has been released this year and a new video as well. What is it part of? You know, what is the initiative?
So our initiative is the Northwest Road Safety Partnership. It is a new group that we set up in 2024, more to deal with the scourge, I think it's what my dad would usually call it, of the loss of life that we have on our roads. Our new Christmas campaign was launched on Monday this week, and it's a push to get the message. And it's a message that we've been pushing out for a long time. The RSA have been pushing out, the DFI have been pushing out here in Northern Ireland, to never ever drink and drive, especially with the Christmas period, and to keep your speed down.
Yeah, because unfortunately we're facing into a period, as we do all of the time, whatever time of the year it is, where people are going to get terrible news. Obviously,
Yeah,
in the first instance, it's a life lost, but also, that knock on the door that people are familiar with as to how it's described, the serious injury, the hospital stays, the leg amputations, the loss of vision, the brain injuries, all of this stuff. We hear about the deaths, but all of this other stuff that's inevitable, unfortunately. Well, it doesn't have to be inevitable. That's the whole point of this, but you get where I'm coming from.
That's it. It doesn't have to be inevitable. I mean, everybody who uses the road, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, an HGV driver, a car driver, we all have responsibility, and we all have our own responsibility every time we get in and turn the key. We look at this year's unfortunate statistics. I mean, in Donegal, we've had 18 fatalities this year. In the Ireland itself, we've had 167. It's sort of grim reading when you read it like that. The Northwest Road Safety Partnership, we were set up in Derry City and Strabane. We now cover the Causeway Coast and Glens, and we are in 2025 going to be venturing down into Donegal to work with the Donegal County Council. And this is the reason why we're seeing a serious increase in road deaths and cross-border road deaths. I mean, we have people from Donegal who have sadly passed away on the roads up here, and vice versa. We unfortunately have lost ones in Southern Ireland and Donegal. When you take Derry City and Strabane, we've had 8 lives lost. There's 59 lives lost in Northern Ireland as a whole. So you take the Ireland of Ireland as a whole this year. So far, we've lost 226 lives.
Mm-hmm.
It's grim reading, especially come up to Christmas.
It really is.
And December, with being the month of icy conditions, and everybody is rushing about because again we're all in that Christmas mood. Unfortunately, December does tend to be one of those months that we do lose a number of lives.
And in relation to campaigns like this with the poster and the video, and in fairness, they are graphic. Listen, it's hard to measure success. We know, sadly, it's not going to reach everyone, and it's not going to prevent all deaths, but we don't know how many it might. And that's why we continue to have these conversations. That's why groups like yours are established and push out this information, because it might save 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 families. Firstly, the person losing their life or suffering serious injury, but the impact then it has on their families. And that's the bit that's hard to measure, but that's why we keep going.
I think people forget. Yes, we see the loss of life. We see that on the news whenever it happens. And touch wood, we've been very lucky this week, even with the storm. But we have to remember that there are families, there are friends, and that is where a group that we work with called Life After, they're a charity that have been set up to, we say, unfortunately, work with the families. It's a group that we shouldn't have, but again, it's a need at the minute. Mm-hmm. And they work with families after road traffic collisions, and still do. I think they work with 200 families across across Northern Ireland and the Northwest. And it's a lot of pain. Definitely is. And you're saying about our poster being graphic and the message being graphic. Somebody said to me, unfortunately, a road traffic accident is graphic. And if we can see one life, if we can even this year be under the total of last year, you look at the last year in Ireland, we had 188 road deaths. If we can even be 1 or 2 under that, it's a start, and it's something we want to be pushing.
Yeah, and Chris, you'd wonder, is it that we don't think it will happen to us or what have you? Because in a way, when there are active warnings about weather, we do tend to see less fatality and carnage on the road. I don't know if it's people are staying at home or people then actually do change their driving behaviours, but there does seem to be a correlation. And whatever is going on, why the message doesn't drop with us, why we think it might not be us or whatever, I don't know. And that's the big conundrum. But as I say, fair play to you and the rest of the crew at the Northwest Road Safety Partnership for trying to make a difference. And we really hope that the message is listened to. If people want to check out the poster or listen to it, I mean, it's going to be spread around the place. But do you have a website or social media spot that people can look at?
on our social media, the poster is available to download. We can send it to hospitality venues. That is the aim, is we want to get that message out to hospitality venues, to get that out to their customers. Never ever drink and drive. It really is a choice. I mean, you've said that yourself. It's a choice that a person will make. And let's be honest, Angana Síochána and the Donegal County Council have launched their Christmas campaign, their operation yesterday. They will be out testing for drink driving. They will be out testing for drug driving. And I mean, if you take that choice, that's a chance you're going to take. You could lose your license, or ultimately you could lose a life or cause somebody else to lose their life.
Okay, listen, thanks for that. I appreciate your time, Chris. Take care of yourself. That's Chris Authors, who's PRO of the PRO of the Northwest Road Safety Partnership. And it's not to be preachy, it's not to keep saying the same stuff, it's just to try and have the information land on someone that might change their driving behaviour and be alive for Christmas and beyond as a result. Good morning, Greg. The same happened to me re-air. You had an earlier caller on. I hadn't arrived. The bill hadn't arrived, and neither did the usual message that my bill was available to view. It didn't come up on It then came up on my mobile phone, so I phoned them, and I was told that everything was delayed as they were updating. I was told that my bill had just been processed 10 minutes ago, and that I could use an old bill to pay in the post office. My bill arrived this week with an extra €2 on it for non-direct debit fee. So obviously they want to do away with the cash payments. That comes in from James. Thanks for that, and thank you to all of you who listen to the show or watch the show, and those of you who messaged in. It's greatly appreciated. But that's where we have to leave it for this Wednesday. Have a great day. We'll be back tomorrow morning